Chapter 101. At that time, I was very young, so although I've heard about it, I had never really cared about it. That's why I don't really know much of the details. Dibei-chan sighed slightly. I'll send some people to search for news about what happened. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded a little, not refusing Dibei-chan's help. Thank you. Right now, she didn't have enough strength to even touch that level. If Dibei-chan helped, then she could learn a lot more. But Dibei-chan's heart was actually very heavy. If that was really Bailey Hongzhuang's identity, then wouldn't she become the entire Lan family's enemy? Although he and Bailey Hongzhuang haven't known each other for long, he was very clear about her temper. Once Bailey Hongzhuang confirms the face, she'll definitely choose to take revenge. By that time, he could only fear something tragic waiting to happen. The night passed without any more words. Bailey Hongzhuang was immersed in the information about the Lan family's jade pendant. Although she wasn't completely certain about the news, after hearing what happened in the Lan family, there was a small premonition in her heart. This was her origins. She believed that Lan Yunxiao would never turn his back on the Lan family for no reason whatsoever. Something must have happened that he couldn't bear patiently, making him choose to take his wife and daughter to leave the Lan family. Originally, she had thought that her parents were ordinary people. Even if they were being chased, there was still a chance of survival if they were lucky. Now she knew her parents were being chased by the Lan family. With how powerful the Lan family was, once they went all out, the possibility of them living is close to none. Even though she wasn't clear what happened so long ago, she could clearly imagine just how tragic it was. Dibei-chan also had a sleepless night. The shock of finding Bailey Hongzhuang's undeniable identity was simply too great. The surprise he had gotten when she told him he wasn't Bailey Jintao's biological daughter was nothing compared to the shock he felt from her actually being a Lan family daughter. The reason couldn't be simple. They got up early the next morning. Today, they needed to enter the royal palace to thank the emperor and empress's grace. Meanwhile, news about Prince Chen's marriage was circulated in the streets, and Bailey Jintao's bout of anger made everyone sigh with emotion. So it was General Bailey who chose to cut off all father-daughter ties to Princess Chun first. No wonder Bailey Hongzhuang had married from Qinzhuang Garden. I'm afraid that General Bailey's intestines are probably turning green from regret right now. He probably never thought that Princess Chun would be so amazing. In comparison, Bailey Yuyin simply can't even be compared to Princess Chun. What outstanding cultivational talent. She's just running a scam. The general's household became the juiciest gossip in the imperial city. From the start, many people were concerned for Bailey Hongzhuang's existence in the general's household. Now that the Bailey Hongzhuang's so powerful, the general's household naturally became the center of attention. I heard my young master say that Princess Chen's beauty was fully worthy of being the most beautiful woman in the imperial city. When Prince Chun was married yesterday, my family's young master got to attend the ceremony. Right, I also heard that Princess Chun was actually even more beautiful than the Prime Minister's daughter, Li Yuyue. It's reasonable to call Princess Chun the most beautiful woman in the imperial city. By the time Bailey Hongzhuang returned from the royal palace, the title of most beautiful lady of the imperial city was already pinned to her body. But Bailey Hongzhuang only wanted to sleep. I'll return to my room to rest. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't get a wink of sleep with Dibei-chan. From yesterday until now, she was more tired than she'd be after fighting a troop of people. Wifey, I also want to go back to the room and rest. Dibei-chan smiled brilliantly. Chapter 102. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded and smiled. The room next door, please. Wifey, this is the room where we sleep together. Dibei-chan's eyes were limpid as he stared at Bailey Hongzhuang eagerly. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrow. Should I go sleep in the other room? Last night, she was played like a joke by this guy. She won't ever let something like that happen again. Never mind. It's better I go to the other room. Dibei-chan reluctantly let go, releasing his grip on the doorknob. Creak. Bailey Hongzhuang locked the door without hesitation. Her whole body was relaxed. Nevertheless, returning to her room was still the best. Dibei-chan looked at the door with a smile, before turning and entering the room beside it. If Bailey Hongzhuang was there, she would see that the furnishings in the two rooms were nearly identical. Even before she married, Dibei Chen already had everything ready. Seeing Dibei Chen clap his hands, Heimu immediately appeared in the room and bowed. "Lord, send someone to help me check out what happened with the Lan family's Lan Yanxiao. Make sure to be discreet. Don't let anyone know." Dibei Chen's voice was low, his handsome face revealing not the slightest bit of emotion. Heimu's face was doubtful when he heard Dibei Chen's words. They didn't have any connection with the Lan family, so why would his little lord suddenly think of investigating what happened with the Lan family? But after following him for so long, with just a glance at his little lord's face, he was very clearly that his little lord was very serious. He immediately went to action, not daring to tarry. "I'll start now." After Heimu left, Dibei Chen's pupils shone with deep light. If this was all true, then how will Bailey Hongzhuang act? The Lan family was a great power Bailey Hongzhuang just couldn't even begin to compete with. His heart couldn't help but worry about her. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't rest and directly started to cultivate. At first, because the royal hunting feast was very soon, she wanted to increase her strength as much as possible, becoming an overnight hero, a dark horse. But since learning about the Lan family yesterday, her will to cultivate only intensified. In front of the Lan family, and such monsters, without enough strength, she didn't even have the right to speak. Since she's living a second life, she absolutely will not allow herself to leave any regrets. For everything, she needed strength. After 3 days, Bailey Hongzhuang prepared to go to Godly Doctor Square. Because of the marriage, she didn't go to Godly Doctor Square for 3 whole days. Now, it was time for her to return. But just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to leave, Dibei Chen's voice rang out behind her. "Is wifey going to Godly Doctor Square?" Bailey Hongzhuang turned to see Dibei Chen sitting in his wheelchair outside the house, a faint smile currently on his face as he looked at her. "Right." Dibei Chen came to Bailey Hongzhuang's side, smiling quietly. "Wifey, the weather's good today. Shall we go for a walk together?" Hearing his words, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned, confused. Knowing Dibei Chen's personality, he wouldn't be the type to like window shopping. Why would he suddenly ask her to go on a walk? In any case, wifey is now Princess Chen. Usually, the clothes you wear are always very simple and neat, so it'd be better to buy some new ones. Even if you don't want to wear it every day, just at least wear it when we visit the royal palace. What do you think? Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood. No matter what, she was now one of Prince Chen's people and represented his honor. For Prince Chen's face, it indeed wouldn't be appropriate for her to attend any gatherings with such plain clothing. Okay, Bailey Hongzhuang agreed. Princess Chen is truly worthy of being the #1 beauty of the imperial city. Each and every move is just simply beautiful to the extreme. Dibei Chen smiled as he listened to everyone talk, a long, slanted eyebrow raising. #1 beauty of the imperial city? Prince probably doesn't know, but right now, everyone calls Princess Chen the #1 beauty of the imperial city. Heimu's face revealed pride as he reported. Before, the title as the #1 beauty of the imperial city used to linger between Bailey Yuyin and Li Yue. But since Princess showed her face, this title fell on her head undisputed. Bailey Hongzhuang had also heard about this when she was chatting with Dong Sairu, but hadn't actually thought it was a real title that actually fell on her body. Those people were just too bored. Dibei Chen looked at the calm Bailey Hongzhuang, standing at his side. Broken fragments of gold-like sunlight were sprinkled on her body, covering her in a golden luster. Even without the use of makeup, her face was just as clear and attractive. Each and every move contained a certain elegance, a unique grace to it. The #1 beauty of the imperial city. Not just a name only, but also in reality. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled, gazing at Dibei Chen to see the warm smile on his face. His praise was completely sincere. Will being the #1 beauty of the imperial city give you food to eat? It's only good to listen to. Bailey Hongzhuang spoke indifferently. She didn't care one bit for such a title with only false reputation. Nikkang Market was a top-notch clothing store in the Imperial City. Whether it was a merchant's miss or official's miss, they all loved to come here and buy clothing. Even though the prices were far from ordinary clothing stores, its business was still exceptionally rich. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Diabei Chun arrived at Nikkang Market, the whole store seemed to turn quiet for an instant. They didn't expect for the winds to blow straight, letting Prince and Princess Chen visit their shop today. This time, the emperor went in person to the prince's palace, signifying that Prince Chen's position rose somewhat. At the very least, it meant that Prince Chun still held a certain place in the emperor's heart, or he never even would have bothered to attend the wedding. Even though usually Dibei Chan was often bullied, that was only by the crown prince. Only princes in this generation dared to do so. Other people wouldn't even dare. Nikkang Market's lady proprietress, Wei Nikkang, immediately came over and welcomed them. Prince Chun, Princess Chun, it's an honor to be in your presence. It seems like Prince Chun must have come to buy Princess Chun some garments. This was Wei Nichang's first time meeting Prince and Princess Chen. Although Prince Chun was sitting in a wheelchair, his back was perfectly straight, and you couldn't see the slightest bit of depression. His handsome appearance naturally needed no words, his character exuding a certain grace that would make one gasp in admiration. She felt that the way this Prince Chun was completely different from Prince Chun that was always getting bullied in the rumors. The aura he emitted and the mannerisms he displayed could be in no way compared to regular people. Only, it was truly a shame that he was crippled. Dibei Chan smiled faintly, right? Wifey, do you see any clothes you like? Dibei Chen's voice was gentle, gazing at Bailey Hongzhuang's face like his beloved treasure. Lady proprietress must be very busy with her own things. We could just look around on our own. Hearing his words, Wei Nikkang bowed. Well, if Prince or Princess requires my aid, feel free to give me a shout anytime. The peace in Nikkang Market was restored. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the store filled with clothes. Whether it was material or workmanship, they were all first class. With such quality, it was no surprise that Nikkang Market was so popular. Chapter 104. At this time, a figure suddenly appeared in Nikkang Market. It was the Prime Minister's daughter, the current crown princess, Li Yuyue. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang also in Nikkang Market, Li Yuyue's eyes couldn't help but stiffen. Her face revealed traces of disgust. Bailey Hongzhuang picked through the clothes. Although her favorite color was a plain and simple white, since she became Princess Chun, in the future, she'll have to go to the palace often. If she was dressed completely in white every time she visited, it wouldn't be quite appropriate, so she had to choose a few other colors. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes sharpened, landing on a white dress. The dress was as white as snow, embellished with designs of blooming peach flowers. It wasn't overly fancy or complicated, but instead felt bright and fresh. Thinking about the peach blossoms in Qinzhuang Garden, a trace of a smile spread on Bailey Hongzhuang's face. This was the dress she liked most. A slender arm fell on the dress, just as Bailey Hongzhuang picked it up. Lifting her head, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the woman, confused only to see Li Yue's face, looking at her disdainfully. This dress, I want it. Opening her mouth, Li Yue's voice was domineering, not allowing Bailey Hongzhuang to speak a single word. An utterly enchanting smile formed from the corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips. Miss Li, the dress seemed to be in this princess's hands first, and is thus mine. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang dare to refute her, Li Yue's complexion ashened. I said I wanted this dress, so it's mine. I never knew Miss Li was actually so overbearing. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was still clear and gentle. Only, your overbearing attitude means nothing to me. Her right hand, slightly forceful, Bailey Hongzhuang directly pulled the dress into her arms. This woman was just too arrogant choosing her target. She, Bailey Hongzhuang, was never one easy to be bullied. Bailey Hongzhuang. Li Yue raised her voice. I'm the majestic crown princess, daring to offend me. Do you want to die? Ha! Bailey Hongzhuang laughed softly, but the light in her eyes began to grow cold. Miss Li, you still haven't married the crown prince. Right now, You're only the future crown princess. Aren't you just anxious to get married? It's still better for Miss to rely on her family. Bailey Hongzhuang played it down as she looked at Li Yuyue, the meaning in her words clear. Li Yuyue was startled and didn't expect for Bailey Hongzhuang to actually say such a thing, that she and the crown prince still hadn't married, making her only the future crown princess. By just looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's haughty appearance, her heart couldn't help but burst with anger. At first, when Bailey Yuyan was disfigured, she became the #1 beauty of the imperial city. But she never expected for Bailey Hongzhuang to appear and steal her title. It was just too hateful. Even if she used to only have hatred with Bailey Yuyan and had no relationship with Bailey Hongzhuang. Now she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was even more hateful than Bailey Yuyan. In any case, I'm the future crown princess while you're no more than a small princess. To dare to challenge me, do you actually still believe His Highness, the crown prince, will look for you to treat him? TL note. In Chinese, crown princess is Taizi Fei, whereas princess is just Wang Fei. It makes the comparison much more obvious. Right now, Li Yue could only think about beating down Bailey Hongzhuang. For the past 2 days since her title as the #1 beauty of the imperial city was robbed, she could feel everyone look at her with different eyes, and the highborn women she didn't get along with often came to mock her. Today her mood wasn't very good, so she decided to come to Jichang Market and buy some clothes to improve her spirit. But she didn't expect to meet enemies on a narrow road, the woman who put her in such a bad temper, Bailey Hongzhuang. Princess is changed to Wang Fei, Chapter 105, taking this opportunity. No matter which method she uses to beat Bailey Hongzhuang, she'll definitely teach her just who is the phoenix and who is the pheasant. Miss Li, you said it yourself. You're only the future crown princess. When you get married, come back and say those words to me again. Bailey Hongzhuang's pace was steady as walked over to the front side, still holding on to the dress. She still wanted to look at the other clothes in Jichang Market. Bailey Hongzhuang, you're going overboard, Li Yuyue shouted, stomping her foot. She really couldn't understand. Bailey Hongzhuang clearly only married a crippled prince. How could she be so arrogant? Everybody thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would be unhappy and depressed, but Bailey Hongzhuang was still as proud and arrogant as ever, completely defying everybody's expectations. Miss Li, even if you're happy shouting abuse in the streets like a shrew, I am not the same. Li Yuyue's face turned ugly when she heard her remark. Bailey Hongzhuang actually called her a shrew? The future crown princess, a shrew? Li Yuyue and Bailey Hongzhuang's argument attracted many people's attention. Usually, for people who come to Jichang Market, they all held a certain level of status. When everybody saw Li Yuyue and Bailey Hongzhuang confronting each other, they knew it was going to get interesting. Many of them knew that Li Yuyue had been sulking in Prime Minister's mansion for the past few days when her title of #1 beauty in the imperial city was taken by Bailey Hongzhuang. Now watching Bailey Hongzhuang and Li Yuyue cross swords, their hearts secretly praised Bailey Hongzhuang. Chen Wangfei's mouth was truly sharp. Li Yuyue couldn't even fight back, especially the tone of her voice and stance. She and Li Yuyue simply couldn't even be compared on the same level. Li Yuyue was clearly the one who took the initiative to look for trouble with Bailey Hongzhuang, but it was Bailey Hongzhuang who was teaching her a lesson. Look, Li Yuyue's face is green, because when she became the future crown princess, she turned as proud as a peacock. She was just itching to flaunt her marriage with the crown prince. I think it's disgusting. Chen Wangfei is truly unusual. This time, Li Yuyue could be said to have met a brick wall. Everyone in the crowd held the same feeling of watching a play. Normally, it was rare to see such amazing drama, and they all were looking forward to seeing how it would play out. Li Yuyue walked up to Bailey Hongzhuang in large strides, her beautiful face cold. Her arrogant air couldn't be hidden. Bailey Hongzhuang, if you won't leave this dress behind today, you'll never leave Jichang Market's doors. So many people were watching in Jichang Market. If today she lost face, how could she show her face to anyone again? Are you threatening this prince's wife? A magnetic, deep voice suddenly sounded, but the tone was cold and gloomy. Li Yue couldn't help but be startled, discovering Dibei Chen's gaze landing on her body. She didn't expect for Dibei Chan to suddenly speak now, and couldn't help but feel somewhat embarrassed. But Li Yue quickly recovered her haughty appearance. Right, and if she doesn't apologize to me right here and now, I absolutely will not allow her to leave here tonight. Opening her mouth, Li Yue actually dragged Dibei Chen in. She was very clear on Dibei Chen's status and knew that he only a prince in name. Before, His Highness, the Crown Prince, could bully this guy happily. So how could she be afraid of such a fellow? Just the Prime Minister's daughter is actually so arrogant. I never saw someone so lacking in manners. Today, this prince has opened his eyes. Bin Wang. This Prince Wangya prince hearing that. Li Yue's face suddenly changed. Who do you think you're talking to? How dare you reproach me? Dibei Chen's handsome eyebrows twitched. His lips that had curled up into a grin slowly turned cold. Reproach you? You think you're worthy? Daring to threaten my woman. I'll surely make you regret it. Dibei Chen's eyes were cold, his low voice echoing with a cold threat. An imposing aura suddenly erupted from his body. Li Yue's whole body shivered with fright as she backed off. Under Dibei Chen's terrifying aura, she felt like she couldn't even control her own body. Li Yue looked at him with fear. How could she have not known Dibei Chen's strength was actually so powerful? Moreover, his unexpected tone of speech and his domineering attitude simply left one unable to speak back. You, if you dare to injure me, His Highness, the Crown Prince won't let you off. Li Yue trembled as she shouted. Looking at his matchless cold eyes, Li Yue, for the first time, felt fear down to the very bottom of her heart. Whoever dares to threaten Bin Wang's wife, Bin Wang also won't let that reckless person off. His words made Li Yue's heart turn cold. Dibei Chen was actually so protective of Bailey Hongzhuang. The crowd surrounding them stared blankly in shock. For a long time, Prince Chun had been known for being easy to bully. But no one expected that Prince Chen's anger would actually be so terrible. But most importantly, Prince Chun had actually become an eager wife protector. So the rumors weren't fake, and Prince Chun truly was in love with Bailey Hongzhuang. Whether it was the betrothal gifts or not giving any face to General Bailey on the wedding day, it was all enough to prove Bailey Hongzhuang's position in Dibei Chen's heart. Li Yue had actually bullied Bailey Hongzhuang right in front of his face. Prince Chun was furious. Seeing this desperate situation, Wei Nikhang came running hurriedly. It didn't matter who those two were, but if she didn't intervene now, her entire Nikhang market could crumble down completely. Prince Chun, Miss Li's words were only said in a moment of impulse. You shouldn't let Miss Li's words bother you. Wei Nichang's face was filled with smiles, but her heart was secretly in chaos. Ever since Prince Chun recognized Chun Wangfei as thus, to say the least, his temperament had changed to a certain extent. This Chun Wangfei was truly had some ability. Bailey Hongzhuang also muttered something now. Li Yue, if you want to complain, do it after you choose a partner. Bailey Hongzhuang had many ways to send Li Yue packing, but it must be carried out in secret. Confronting her directly in public would only lead to a bad outcome. Wang Ye, it's only a waste of energy to be mad at her. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed indifferently. Dibei Chen's cold face eased a little bit. Since Wang Fei said so, Bin Wang will drop the subject early. If you dare to invite a snub or court a rebuff, Bin Wang will make you regret not treasuring this chance. Watching Dibei Chen withdrawing his aura, Li Yue's whole body fell weakly. Her back was covered in cold sweat. Wang Ye, can you go wait for me outside? I still have a few words to speak of with Miss Li. Bailey Hongzhuang said. Dibei Chen nodded, and He Mu immediately took the white dress Bailey Hongzhuang had in her hands and paid for it before directly walking out of Jichang Square. After waiting for Dibei Chen to leave, Li Yue stared scornfully at Bailey Hongzhuang. I never thought you were so good at seducing men. Not just Dibei Chen, even His Highness, the Crown Prince, was one of Bailey Hongzhuang's admirers. Since the day he had wanted to marry Bailey Hongzhuang in the drafting feast, She had always been a wound in her heart. She thought Bailey Hongzhuang would have been furious, but Bailey Hongzhuang only curled her lips into a smile. Thank you for your praise. Chapter 107. Li Yue sucked in a cold breath. How could this woman's reply be so strange? I'm in a good mood today and don't want to bother with you. Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent. I only want to offer Miss Li a little piece of advice. You shouldn't speak so early. Remember at that time, I was also the future crown princess. Her voice dropping, Bailey Hongzhuang no longer stayed behind, leaving Nikhang Market without another word. Watching her slender figure slowly walking into the distance, Li Yue unexpectedly couldn't say even a word. She knew clearly what Bailey Hongzhuang was implying. Originally, Bailey Hongzhuang was the future crown princess, but now there was no such engagement. Bailey Hongzhuang was reminding her before she truly became the crown princess. Anything could happen. Walking out of Nikhang Market, Bailey Hongzhuang easily spotted Dibei Chun standing not so far away as he waited for her. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang come out, the corner of Dibei Chen's mouth curled up into a smile. Is the matter settled? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head slightly. Li Yue's provocative actions. It was only natural for her to want to teach Li Yue a lesson. The reason why she stayed behind to leave Li Yue those few last words of parting wasn't because she wanted to warn her, but to make her restrict her own actions. She, Bailey Hongzhuang, wasn't a person who had a big heart. Why are you so generous today? This dress was pretty expensive. Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow, looking at Dibei Chun doubtfully. While she was choosing the dress, she clearly saw just how expensive the price was. When she asked Dibei Chun that time for 100 gold coins, this guy couldn't afford that. Dibei Chun blinked, acting bashful as he gazed at Bailey Hongzhuang. A man's money should be kept for their wife. Since you didn't agree, I didn't give you the gold coins. But this time, it's different because you're already one of my people. The expenses will naturally be covered by your hubby with the marriage contract. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth slowly curled up. Although she knew the guy was only making stuff up, it was still very pleasing to listen to. The next moment, Dibei Chun took out a black coin card and handed it to Bailey Hongzhuang. From now on, just use the money on this card. Tianxiang Trading Company could be found everywhere in the Shengxian continent. Many people stored their money with the company, finding it very convenient. Bailey Hongzhuang earned a lot of money through Godly Doctor Square, but still only possessed a silver Tianxiang Trading Company card. Dibei Chun actually had a black one. Tianxiang Trading Company's coin cards were divided into 4 grades: green cards, silver cards, gold cards, and black cards. Even if you scoured the entire Fengbo country, you still wouldn't be able to find a single black card holder. Because Tianxiang Trading Company was used all around the entire Xingxue continent, it needs not to be mentioned the astronomical amount of wealth needed to get a black card. But Dibei Chun actually owns such a card. So Dibei Chun was never a poor ghost, but was actually very rich. My own money is enough. You can keep the card yourself. Bailey Hongzhuang replied. Dibei Chun's behavior earlier had given her a misunderstanding. This amount of money was indeed something that could only be shared between husband and wife. Take it. Right now, it's better for you to focus on cultivating or refining your inner energy. Dibei Chun said, in my opinion, it might be better for you to temporarily close your Godly Doctor Square to focus wholeheartedly on cultivation for the better. What? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. Dibei Chun smiled. Wifey, no matter the outcome, right now you're the Qin Wang Fei. If you show your face out in public while treating people, it wouldn't be pleasant to hear. You care about that? Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent. Because of Dibei Chun's nature, it was simply unlikely for him to care about such things. Chapter 108. Never mind. Dibei Chun shook his head. It's just that it's almost time for the royal family's hunting feast. If you could get a good ranking in the hunting competition, it'd be very advantageous for you. Hearing Dibei Chun's words, Bailey Hongzhuang instantly understood his plan and immediately nodded. Then I'll close Godly Doctor Square for now. If her guess was right, then Dibei Chun probably also thinks that it's rather likely for her to be Lan Yinxiao's daughter. If she wanted to face the entire Lan family, there was no time to waste on running Godly Doctor Square. Bailey Hongzhuang temporarily closed Godly Doctor Square, but left the immortality pills for sale, then returned to the prince's palace to quietly cultivate. There was only half a month before the hunting feast would start. She needed to grow her strength as soon as possible. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang directly entered the room next door, trying to find Dibei Chun. Dibei Chun, do you know any places in the Imperial City that are good for cultivation, like a waterfall or something? After thinking about yesterday, she believed that staying in the house would only raise her cultivation, but wouldn't strengthen the flesh. In her previous life, since young she was soaked in all sorts of medicinal and herbal baths, making her physique very powerful. Unfortunately, it was very different in this life. Bailey Hongzhuang's body wasn't at all stronger than others, and because of malnutrition, her constitution was even weaker than most other people. Even if she was cultivating now, she was still incapable of using her full power because her foundation, her body, was too shaky. Since it was like this, Bailey Hongzhuang chose to leave the palace to cultivate outside. Only by improving her physique can her true fighting strength come out. Furthermore, cultivating the body can also bring her great benefits. By taking advantage of her young age to lay a solid foundation, cultivating in the future would become much easier. Dibei Chen instantly understood what Bailey Hongzhuang meant, his heart secretly astonished. He already understood that Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't Bailey Jintao's daughter, but Bailey Hongzhuang's changes truly weren't small. The overwhelming majority of cultivators only paid attention to their upgrading their cultivation and completely ignored improving their physique, especially cultivators in the younger generation, who simply had no clue of just how important strengthening the body was. Only some of the world's strongest powers would urge the importance of improving your physique when training the younger generation. This problem with cultivation wasn't very obvious in the beginning, but grows more and more obvious as someone's cultivation reached the late stage. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang was a Lan family daughter, she only found out a few days ago. So how could she have known about the importance of improving your physique? It seems that Bailey Hongzhuang was even more mysterious than him. There's a small mountain not far outside the Imperial City. Inside there exists the waterfall. Dibei Chen answered. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up, her lips loosening into a gentle smile. Really? Can you tell me exactly where? You intend to go there alone? Dibei Chen asked. Even though it isn't too far from the Imperial City, there's no shortage of demons and beasts roaming about. Going there alone to strengthen your body is too dangerous. It doesn't matter, I know my limits. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth curled up into a smile, her expression unusually staunch. In her previous life, she had often gone out to cultivate alone. Who knew how many dangerous experiences she had back then? But one thing was for sure, she was very experienced. Even if she didn't have much strength now, she still believed she would be able to return back safe and sound. I'll accompany you. We'll go together. Dibei Chen's voice was indifferent, but his tone revealed his certainty on his decision. He would not change his mind. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled. I'm going there to cultivate. If you come with me, how will I ever feel a sense of danger? You can rest assured. Unless it's life-threatening and you're about to die, I won't act. Dibei Chen smiled. You're my beloved wifey. If you run into danger, what will I do? Bailey Hongzhuang rolled her eyes. How will you come with me then? Where the wife is, the husband is there. Not waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to reply, Dibei Chen immediately continued. I already sent some people to prepare to take you and me, us two people together to go out on an outing. This also shows our sincere feelings between the two of us as husband and wife. Dibei Chen. Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth twitched. Dibei Chen didn't seem to hear her shout, leaving without another word. Master, I think Dibei Chen is just worried for you. It's better to just let him come. Little White said slowly. Right now, Bailey Hongzhuang was only on the border of late stage. She could be considered pretty good in the younger generation. Only in Shengxian continent, demonic beasts could move unhindered. If she by some chance encountered a demonic beast stronger than her, Bailey Hongzhuang would be in a lot of danger. Little Black followed, nodding his head. Dibei Chun just hates to part with Master. There's no harm if he comes as well. Bailey Hongzhuang's face revealed helplessness. Just as Little Black and Little White said, there's nothing wrong with bringing Dibei Chun along too. In the Shangxian continent, aside from humans, there were also species of demonic beasts who could cultivate. A high-level demonic beast was very powerful. Compared the weak body of a human's, a demonic beasts were very strong. As a result, humans were often the ones at a disadvantage when fighting the demonic beasts. Furthermore, a demonic beast's reproduction speed was far faster than a human's. However, a demonic beast generally wasn't smart. Humans could create all kinds of cultivation manuals and merit laws or martial skills to increase their fighting strength. The demonic beasts could only rely on their own strength, which was why the scales between the humans and beasts were always kept in check. A demonic beast's pelt could be used as leather. Blood, eyes, and so on could all be used as pill ingredients. To mankind, it could even be said that demonic beasts from head to toe were living treasures. Therefore, there were many cultivators who relied on hunting demonic beasts for a livelihood. So long as they killed a demonic beast, they would be able to sell its body for massive amounts of money. Dibei Chun moved quickly. He was very clear that with Bailey Hongzhuang's current situation, the earlier she can cultivate, the better. Ordering a few men, he and Bailey Hongzhuang got on the carriage to leave the imperial city. News of Prince Chun and Chun Wangfei going out on an outing together was leaked from Prince Chen's palace. Everyone admired the deep affection between Prince Chun and Chun Wangfei very much. Together with how he protected his wife, Bailey Hongzhuang had become the target of envy for many. Even if both of Prince Chen's legs were crippled, he was still very favored. Together with his handsomeness, all questions could be ignored. Hearing the news, Bailey Yuyan ground her teeth. Really, as she guessed, Dibei Chun pampered Bailey Hongzhuang very much. She just couldn't understand. Why would Dibei Chun treasure Bailey Hongzhuang, such trash, a woman who'd already been married and divorced, so much? But just as Dibei Chun and Bailey Hongzhuang left the imperial city, an earth-shaking scream sounded from the Prime Minister's house. The people in the Prime Minister's mansion were all attracted by the scream. It was the first time Prime Minister Li Changqian and his wife, Zhao Wenxiang, heard Li Yuyue cry out like that. They both hastily ran to Li Yuyue's room. Note, in this sentence, even if both of Prince Chen's legs were crippled, he was still very favored. Together with his handsomeness, all questions could be ignored. Chapter 1:10. The two's hearts were very anxious. Yesterday, Li Yue came back home in low spirits, and nothing they said could comfort her. Li Changqian also hated Dibei Chun, but Li Yue truly acted without any thought yesterday. He couldn't just go up to Prince Chun and start to argue with him. He could only wait for an even better chance for him to step on Prince Chun underfoot. But today, Li Yue suddenly screamed first thing in the morning. Could something have happened again? When Li Yue went to sleep last night, she felt her face was a little itchy. After scratching it a little, she no longer cared. She never thought that when she got up in the morning to dress and look in a mirror, she would see her face was completely covered in freckles. Densely packed freckles covered both sides of her nose, making her original, peerlessly beautiful face ugly. She immediately started washing her face, but no matter how she cleaned, the freckles were deeply rooted in her face. It was just impossible to wash out. How could this be? Li Yuyue stroked her face, frightened. How did my face become like this overnight? Li Yuyue was still immersed in shock. She simply couldn't believe it was happening, that it was a dream. Her face that she was so proud of. When Li Changqian and Zhao Wenxiang arrived at her room to see such a messy scene, the servant girls all stood to the side, not daring to speak. Yue, what happened to you? Zhao Wenxiang asked. She was very clear of her daughter's temperament, who was always pampered and never lacked anything. Unless someone provoked Li Yuyue, there was no way she'd be screaming first thing in the morning. Mother! Li Yuyue turned around, covered in tears, to look at Zhao Wenxiang, standing behind. When seeing how Li Yue's beautiful face was covered in tears, Zhao Wenxiang was overwhelmed by compassion, and after a more careful look, she suddenly noticed the change that had happened on Li Yue's face and could only stare blankly at her. "Yue, what happened to your face?" Li Yue shook her head, grieved. "I don't know. When I woke up this morning, it had already become like this. What can I do, ah?" She recalled Bailey Hongzhuang's words from yesterday. Before she's actually married, anything could happen. Now, with her face like this, how could His Highness, the Crown Prince, still want to marry her? Li Chengqian's face also changed. His daughter may become the Empress, but if her appearance was like this, how could she go out and see other people? "Hurry up and bring a doctor." Li Chengqian waved his hand strongly, ordering the servant. Yes, the servant immediately seized the opportunity and withdrew, going back to the mansion to try and find a doctor. Li Chengqian and Zhao Wenxiang cautiously inspected Li Yue's face full of freckles. The densely packed freckles were simply enough to make anyone feel disgusted after a single glance. Where was her usually beautiful appearance? How could your perfectly good face have turned into this without any cause or reason? Zhao Wenxiang made a flustered look. The day of the wedding with the crown prince wasn't that far away. Once the news got out, their prime minister's prefecture would only become a huge joke. After many tries, Zhao Wenxiang and Li Yue concluded that those freckles would stay on Li Yue's face for some time. They were basically impossible to get rid of. After a long time, Li Chengqian finally spoke. "Who did you meet between yesterday and today?" Li Yue sobbed. "There wasn't anyone, apart from the fight with Bailey Hongzhuang outside. There wasn't any people." Hearing her words, Li Chengqian's face couldn't help but change slightly. "Don't tell me this has something to do with Bailey Hongzhuang?" When Bailey Yuyan was disfigured, nobody knew why or how it happened. But Bailey Yuyan's and Bailey Hongzhuang's longtime grudge was something everybody knew. Chapter 111 in the past. Li Yue had always lived without any burdens or hardship apart from yesterday's confrontation with Bailey Hongzhuang. Now today, her face had changed like this. It was just too much of a coincidence. Li Yue was startled, but she didn't want to think about it. All she wanted was a reason to pin all of this on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. That's right, it must be Bailey Hongzhuang. Li Yue repeatedly nodded her head. "Father, you must give me justice." Rest assured, if this was truly done by Bailey Hongzhuang, I'll definitely make her pay the price. Li Chengqian's face was gloomy as he spoke. What kind of status did he have? Daring to move against his daughter, Bailey Hongzhuang must be tired of living. The doctor soon came. After examining Li Yue's face, he shook his head. "I'm truly sorry. My humble self is unable to tell the cause of Miss Li's sudden freckles. This detashin is something I've never heard about." "There's no way at all." Li Chengqian was unwilling to give up hope. If Li Yue's face stayed like this forever, how could she go out and greet other people? In my opinion, this kind of situation is only something godly Dr. Square's Lady Bailey could cure. With other doctors, I'm afraid the chances of curing Miss Li is minimal. The three's faces all turned ugly. Now, they all suspected this was Bailey Hongzhuang's doing. If they went and asked Bailey Hongzhuang for such a favor, wouldn't it be just like a joke? After the doctor left, Li Chengqian once again invited several other doctors to take a look. But in the end, everyone's conclusion was the same as the first doctor's. Apart from Bailey Hongzhuang, no one else could cure it. "Lord, I think we should try and ask Bailey Hongzhuang for a favor. As long as Lord wishes it, I believe Bailey Hongzhuang would definitely give us face." Zhao Wenxiang pondered. Li Yue objected immediately. "Go ask that woman for help? Why should we?" She was still thinking how they would bring Bailey Hongzhuang to the threshing floor. If she asked Bailey Hongzhuang for help now, Li Yue was afraid that she'd never have the chance to bring her to the threshing floor in this lifetime. Zhao Wenxiang frowned elegantly, her voice holding a trace of blame. "Yue, Bailey Hongzhuang isn't important enough for you to be so angry over. You think a little. As long as you become the crown princess, how would there be any lack of opportunities to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang as the Empress? Li Chengxian nodded slightly. Your mother's words are right. We'll handle it like this. Seeing Li Chengxian and Zhao Wenxiang's firm resolution, Li Yue had to agree with them no matter how discontent she was. After all, it was of the utmost importance to protect her face. However, the person Li Chengxian sent to Godly Doctor Square to ask for an appointment with Bailey Hongzhuang had to find out that the square was temporarily closed, the reason being that, as surprising as it may be, Prince Chun and Princess Chun had gone on a trip to the mountains. He also sent some people to the prince's palace to ask for their whereabouts, but was only told that they didn't know when Prince Chun and Chen Wangfei would return. The news caught the Li family unprepared. Bailey Hongzhuang left at such a crucial time. Was there really no way left? In comparison to the Li family's disaster, Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chun were actually very comfortable. He Mu drew the carriage outside, as Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chen's eyes glanced over the busy roads and sceneries through the carriage's windows. Now that we left the imperial city, there isn't any more need for you to act, Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. For an ordinary person, acting as a cripple all day would feel extremely uncomfortable. Dibei Chan smiled faintly. If we run into someone inside the mountain range, our identity would definitely be exposed. For that reason, it was still necessary to continue to be a cripple. If they were to find any clues, acting so long all would have been for naught. He had endured so much just to finally get a lead on the information. Since he could stand up again, why should he continue to hide? Now, it wouldn't be long before he could stand proudly in front of everybody again. Suddenly, a sly smile appeared in the corner of Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. Would it be better for me to help you change your appearance? Dibei Chen raised an eyebrow. You can even change faces? Traveling in Jianghu, the technique of changing faces were essential tricks to learn. But although most ordinary face-changing techniques were very easy to see through, it was still better than nothing. As for true face-changing techniques, it could even be said that they've long died out. It was said that 1,000 years ago, face-changing techniques were capable of creating a fake face that could be easily passed off as real. Only, it's a pity that there were none left. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head slightly. I have a face-changing technique that's incomparable to other ordinary ones. I guarantee you'll be surprised. Since you said it's so amazing, you can test it on me. Dibei Chen's eyes had a spoiling light to it. He had clearly seen the crafty look in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. It's very likely that this girl had a bad idea in store for him. After telling Dibei Chen to close his eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang began to change Dibei Chen's face. Such a handsome face, she might as well disguise it nicely. Master, Dibei Chen's beautiful face was completely destroyed by you. Looking at the new face Bailey Hongzhuang made, Little Black couldn't bear it and covered his eyes. This was simply something you couldn't look at. Little White's mouth twitched and secretly decided in his heart. He could offend anyone else, but he mustn't offend the master. Master still hasn't forgotten how Dibei Chen had bullied her on the wedding night. Just a look at Dibei Chen's destroyed face, and you would know just how much anger Bailey Hongzhuang truly harbored in her heart. After a long time, Bailey Hongzhuang finally clapped her hands and smiled. All done. Perfect. Dibei Chen opened his eyes. Seeing the bright grin on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, a smile bloomed on his lips. Take a look, is my drawing skills good? A wide grin split Bailey Hongzhuang's face as she handed Dibei Chen the mirror. Taking the mirror, Dibei Chen stared at the completely different man in the mirror. His smile froze. He could only see an astonished man with a big, boorish face. A big beard ran across his face, and a huge mole sat right by his lip. The face I made for you isn't bad. With this, I guarantee even if we meet somebody, it'd impossible for them to recognize you. Although Dibei Chen's changed face showed helplessness, looking at the completely different man in the mirror, stormy waves appeared inside his black pupils. This face-changing technique was absolutely the best he had ever seen. If his mind wasn't clear, He wouldn't even be able to believe that this was actually his face. Wai's face-changing technique is naturally excellent, but I don't know what other people will think when they see such a large, rough man marrying such a beauty like you. Their faces would probably turn green with envy. Dibei Chen's uncouth face laughed, one hand resting on Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulder. His boorish appearance released a bold and unconstrained air around him. For some inexplicable reason, when she looked at Dibei Chen looking like that, a bad premonition rose in her mind. After some time, Bailey Hongzhuang and company probably needs to be changed arrived at their destination. Wang Fei were finally at the waterfall. Hey Mu called from outside the carriage. Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chen slowly walked out of the carriage together. Hey Mu's eyes widened as he stared at the rough, unfamiliar face and couldn't help but ask, stunned, "Who is he?" Chapter 113. During this entire journey, how could he have not noticed another man on the carriage at all? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were full of smiles. Dibei Chen helplessly spoke. Hey Mu. Hearing that familiar voice, Hey Mu looked at Dibei Chen in disbelief. Wang Ye, is that you? Correct. This Wang Fei used a face-changing technique. Seeing how certain Bailey Hongzhuang was about it, Hey Mu was unable to suppress a grin. His matchlessly elegant and handsome young lord now, a countryside brute. It was just too funny. Go ahead if you want to laugh. It'd be bad if you end up choking, Dibei Chen said faintly. Ftaha! Hey Mu laughed his head off as he looked at Dibei Chen's face. Haha, it's really just too ridiculous. Wang Ye is truly the most ugly, huh? Ugly. Seeing Hey Mu laughing until tears came out, Dibei Chen's eyes sunk as he opened his mouth indifferently. Wifey, Hey Mu follows me all year round. If I want to hide my identity, his face should also be changed. As for his changed face, to match mine, it should be just as ugly. Hey Mu stopped, startled. Such an interesting face he really didn't want. Wang Ye, it was my mistake. A magnanimous person does not remember offenses committed by ones of low moral stature. Forgive me just this once. Wang Ye, I won't laugh at you again. Wang Fei, please start off leniently. In the end, Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chen completely ignored Hey Mu's pleas. Hey Mu's face was directly changed to a big, ugly, brutish man. Dibei Chen's originally tragic appearance compared to Hey Mu's face actually looked pretty good. Hey Mu felt wronged as he looked at Dibei Chen and Bailey Hongzhuang sullenly. This couple were just villains colluding together. Bullying an honest, sincere man like this, truly too cruel. A huge valley appeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. The green trees melded into the forest, creating a beautiful scene. Hong Long Long, SFX, rumbling. The waterfall scoured down, its sound clear yet terrifying. Just hearing the noise, Bailey Hongzhuang could clearly tell that this waterfall wasn't small at all. The steam danced in the air. The day was bright and sunny without a cloud in the sky. The stifled feeling inside the carriage relaxed as they all got up. Wifey, do you like it here? Dibei Chen asked, smiling. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head, pleased. Very good. It's even better than I imagined. Wifey satisfied. Bailey Hongzhuang turned her head to look at the two big, dark-skinned men by her side and said, I'm going to go and cultivate under the waterfall now. You two are free to do as you like. Her words done, Bailey Hongzhuang no longer paid any attention to Dibei Chen and Hey Mu. She planned to come alone from the beginning. Those two guys that came along had nothing to do with her. Watching Bailey Hongzhuang's figure slowly walking farther and farther away, Hey Mu looked at Dibei Chen, puzzled. Little Lord, Wang Fei wanted to come here just to cultivate? Other than cultivate, what else could she do? Then what are we here for? To relieve our boredom. Hey Mu rolled his eyes. Little Lord, the scenery here isn't bad. We'll cultivate here as well. Okay. Hey Mu was helpless. He finally understood his little lord only came here to protect Bailey Hongzhuang. Never did he think that he and his little lord would ever become a guard. Bailey Hongzhuang walked to the waterfall, staring at 33-meter-high rapids. Her eyes twinkled with complex lights. Right now, this body was far too weak and could only be improved through training. But with such a huge waterfall, if she stood directly under it to cultivate, the process would be just too bitter. Chapter 114, Master, this waterfall is too big for you right now. Your strength can only barely support it. Little White's voice sunk. On the road of cultivation, there was always a certain range of risk. But if it was too dangerous, it was always best to be more cautious. Bailey Hongzhuang thought for a moment. From her experience, although cultivating here held a strong degree of danger, it still wouldn't kill her. As for injuries and the like, since she embarked on the road to cultivation, wounds were simply unavoidable. After fixing her mind, Bailey Hongzhuang walked firmly under the waterfall. The heavy sounds of water crashing down filled her ears. Her clothing immediately drenched completely. It was currently spring. The water was still icy cold to the touch, and Bailey Hongzhuang's face became somewhat pale because of the chilliness. Master, we can't go inside the primordial chaos ring. Little White shouted as he struggled in the waves. Bailey Hongzhuang just shook her head. Even if you guys don't want to bear any hardships, you still need to improve your strength. It's better for you guys to train with me. Master, don't want a Little Black howled in grief. To think that her originally beautiful, refined appearance had turned into one of a drenched rat's. Their soft, shiny fluff, ruined, all ruined. The rocks eroded below the waterfall were slippery, and the falling water pressed down on them. Bailey Hongzhuang's body could barely resist the pressure of the water falling from over 10 meters above. Her body was hit by the overhead stones, bringing forward bursts of pain. But Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to feel nothing at all, continuing to climb under the waterfall. But the final result was still the same. Before Bailey Hongzhuang could even stand firm on the rock, her whole body was pounded away by the waterfall's pressure. Standing up once more, Bailey Hongzhuang insisted on walking back under the waterfall every single time. When the originally complaining fluffballs saw Bailey Hongzhuang unyielding back going again and again, they silently closed their mouths. Facing this kind of suffering, their master didn't utter even a single word. It just wasn't right for them to continue bawling, not doing a thing. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips had already frozen to a purple color, but deep inside her eyes a bright, glittering light shone firmly. She propped herself up with her own strong conviction. She must be stronger. For all the humiliation she suffered, for her biological parents, and for her own unyielding arrogance. She was ruthlessly swept away by the waves, but kept on standing up over and over again. From beginning to end, Bailey Hongzhuang had never wavered even a little. Not too long ago, Mu had seen Bailey Hongzhuang like that, with her spirits raised and full of pride. Wang Fei is truly persistent. Mu endlessly sighed with regret. She and Little Lord are very much the same. He had followed the Little Lord since childhood, and had watched him suffer through untold hardships in his cultivation. Everyone only saw the Little Lord's glory, but only he knew just how hard Little Lord worked to get there. Although there were always many female cultivators encompassing them, it was very rare to find somebody who practiced as hard as Wang Fei. A glint of admiration flickered in Dibei Chen's eyes. From the very first time he met Bailey Hongzhuang, he knew right away she was a woman with a determined heart. This was Dibei Chen's first time seeing Bailey Hongzhuang cultivate. In her unwavering eyes, he seemed to almost see himself from that time. They were willing to risk their lives, able to pay any price to grow stronger. Maybe that was why he who had never liked women wanted to care for this woman in this short time, Wang Fei already suffered a lot of injuries. Should we help? Mu couldn't help but worry a little. Chapter 115. Dibei Chen waved his hand. Even if you go, what can you do? Mu was slightly startled, but after thinking a little, he couldn't help but admit there was simply nothing he could do to help. Cultivation is something you must persevere in alone. Even if other people can help, in the end, you must rely on yourself. Dibei Chen's lips curved. let alone Bailey Hongzhuang, who has been cultivating alone for so long. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't leave until nightfall. Her body was already frozen stiff, scorching pain continuously coursing through her body, making her eyebrows pucker. Not far from the waterfall was a small cave. It should have formerly been a demonic beast den, but since it was abandoned, it's now actually a very suitable place for Bailey Hongzhuang to rest. Entering the den, Bailey Hongzhuang cautiously examined her injuries. Her two shoulders were already pounded gray by the waterfall, hands and feet purple from crashing against the rocks as blood bled from a few parts of her body. After one short day, she was already completely covered with cuts and bruises. This body's innate quality is really lacking. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. It would take a very long time if she wanted to speed up this body's cultivation. Wifey. At this moment, Dibei Chen's voice suddenly sounded outside the cave. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly left the cave, only to see Dibei Chen standing, looking at her with a smile. Heimu wasn't by his side. Why did you come? She had noticed Dibei Chen later left to cultivate on his own, but they had previously agreed not to interfere with each other's cultivation. This is for you. Dibei Chen handed Bailey Hongzhuang an exquisite porcelain bottle. Your body will be many times stronger after eating a pill. It can improve your body's inner quality and bolster your recovery speed. Having it would be very beneficial to you. Hearing his words, Bailey Hongzhuang's hands swayed a little as she accepted the porcelain bottle from Dibei Chen's hands. Many thanks. Then you rest properly. Don't push yourself. Dibei Chen urged, leaving behind a sentence as he left. Not far away, he and Heimu also found a similar cave. If something happened with Bailey Hongzhuang, they'd be able to find out immediately. Watching Dibei Chen's back disappear into the darkness, a touch of warmth appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's heart. In his current state, Dibei Chen had no reason to come here, and it would have been far more comfortable to cultivate in his palace. He only came to the forest for her safety. Up to now, Dibei Chen was the only person who cared about her safety. Returning to the cavern, Bailey Hongzhuang took out the immortality pills Dibei Chen had gifted her. Bailey Hongzhuang instantly recognized the name of the pills with a single glance. These are 7 treasure pills. 7 treasure pills was extremely useful to low-leveled cultivators. Compared with cultivation pills, the quality was far better. 7 treasure pills' ingredients were very precious. Before, Bailey Hongzhuang had also wanted to refine herself some as well. But when she asked around the Imperial City's herb shops, she just couldn't get enough to refine the 7 treasure pill and could only refine the slightly inferior cultivation pill. But she never expected for Dibei Chen to actually have 7 treasure pills, and so much too. With the 7 treasure pills, her cultivation would be 2-3 times faster. Without the slightest hesitation, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a 7 treasure pill and swallowed it before closing her eyes, entering a state of cultivation when the power stored inside a pill is consumed. One would usually enter a state of cultivation to fully maximize the pill's benefits. Very few cultivators could completely absorb all of the pill's power almost instantaneously. Chapter 116. The next day, at the break of dawn, Bailey Hongzhuang left the cave. After one night of cultivation, the terrible pain from yesterday had gotten somewhat better. Even though it was still a little sore, it was something she could easily bear with. After taking the 7 treasures pill, she could clearly sense that her body was clearly stronger than before. This was the power she got from cultivating. Her gaze sweeping the area, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't find any clue of Dibei Chen and Heimu. No longer continuing to search, she continued to cultivate under the waterfall. Right now, she had to make every second count. In order to get a good rank in the hunting feast, she needed to break through as soon as possible. There were 2 reasons why it was so important to get a good achievement at the Royal Hunting Feast. First, to wash away the title of trash, and second, because the rewards were very rich. The Royal Hunting Feast rewards just so happened to be things she needed. Of course, she wouldn't let the opportunity slip away. With yesterday's experience, Bailey Hongzhuang was actually able to stay on the rock as she trained. But after a few mere seconds, her body was again washed away by the tides. Even though it was only a few short seconds, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was very satisfied. So long there's progress. Completely training her body was inevitable. Time flew by in an instant. Bailey Hongzhuang continued to train every day, only stopping when her body was close to collapsing from exhaustion. Every night, she took a 7 treasures pill and cultivated until dawn. Under such almost masochistic training, Bailey Hongzhuang's progress was extremely fast. Coupled with her strange cultivation method, her cultivation speed was even enough to make Dibei Chen stunned. Even with the 7 treasures pill's help, it was simply impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang's strength to improve so quickly. Heimu always respected Bailey Hongzhuang, prostrating himself in admiration. He had originally thought Bailey Hongzhuang would only be able to persist for a day. Every day was simply too difficult, but he never thought Bailey Hongzhuang would actually do it every single day, each time staying on a rock longer than the last. It was as if she just couldn't feel pain or despair. If he could also have Bailey Hongzhuang's willpower, he would certainly break through and enhance his strength once again. Every day, Dibei Chen and Heimu both went out to hunt, and always came back with different demonic beasts to roast, treating it like a meal. Heimu's barebacking skills were unexpectedly good, so every day, Bailey Hongzhuang was able to enjoy a good meal. Furthermore, a demonic beast's flesh was plump and full of vitality, helping immensely as she recovered her strength. Although she didn't know why Dibei Chen was taking such pains for her, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was very grateful to Dibei Chen. Of course, this guy naturally wasn't poor either. Finally, the royal family's hunting feast was about to begin. Bailey Hongzhuang, the 3 people began their journey back. Throughout her cultivation, Bailey Hongzhuang could clearly feel the changes happening within her body. Although her body was still as thin as before, she could clearly feel her power was incomparable to before. Her muscles were even more toned, and even her skin was strong and shiny. After eating so many demonic beasts, 10 years' worth of malnutrition and abuse have improved a lot. Her whole body shone with a glossy luster of gems, her physique clearly much stronger. In the afternoon, Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chen returned to the prince's mansion. After more than 10 days living in the wild, there was an indescribably familiar feeling coming back to the prince's mansion. But the Li family were panicking over Li Yue's freckles the entire time. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang slow coming back, they looked for other doctors, only to get the same outcome. Chapter 117, Lord, the royal hunting feast begins tomorrow. Yue has to participate, but how can she go see His Highness, the Crown Prince, with her appearance like this? Zhao Wenxiang worried endlessly. Up until now, the Prime Minister's mansion has completely sealed off all information from leaking out. But tomorrow, it was impossible to continue hiding it. Li Chengqian's face was very unsightly. Tomorrow, the royal family's hunting feast will begin, so Bailey Hongzhuang should have already been back. Could it be possible that Bailey Hongzhuang doesn't want to attend? How isn't it possible? Zhao Wenxiang sighed. Bailey Hongzhuang has a trash physique, so there's no point in joining the hunting competition. Both of Prince Qin's legs are crippled, so how could he even take part? Listening to Zhao Wenxiang, Li Chengqian's face turned very ugly. If that's truly right, then we can only say Yue isn't feeling well. No matter what, we mustn't let His Majesty, the Emperor, or the Crown Prince know about this. I spent so long preparing for the hunting competition, though. Li Yue was unwilling. The royal family's hunting feast and competition only occurs once every 2 years. To win glory at the hunting competition, she had even taken an immortality pill. But now, she was actually letting this long-awaited for opportunity slip by. Don't tell me you actually want His Highness, the Crown Prince, to see you like this. Li Chengqian's voice was as cold as ice. He has waited many years for an opportunity to turn Li Yue into a phoenix. He couldn't fail through the lack of a final effort now. Just as Li Chengqian was worrying over this, the housekeeper hurriedly ran over to them. Lord, good news. What kind of news can be considered good right now? Li Qingqian's voice was filled with melancholy. Lord Chun Wang and Chun Wangfei had just returned to the prince's mansion a few minutes ago. The housekeeper's face revealed joy. In accordance to the lord's instructions, there was a person sent to watch Chun Wangfei at all times. In the case Chun Wang and Chun Wangfei returned, they would inform the lord right away. Hearing that, Li Changxian and the other two looked stunned for a moment. Then a strong shine bloomed in their eyes immediately. Waiting for so long, Bailey Hongzhuang finally came back the day just before the royal family's hunting competition begins. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang was able to cure Li Yue's face, everything would be safe and sound. Thinking of that, Li Chengxian and the rest of the Li family suddenly felt their hearts stir with excitement. Li Chengxian immediately sent someone to prepare a carriage and hurried Li Yue to the prince's mansion. Right now, this couldn't be delayed. Bailey Hongzhuang had barely returned to her room and was about to rest when she heard a servant report the arrival of the prime minister. When she heard that report, Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and her lips curled into a sneering shape. It seemed that during the days she'd left, Li Yue didn't have an easy time off. At the same time, Di Beichen also entered the room. Li Chengxian came and specifically wanted to see you. How are things? Going to play with them? To the words Di Bei Chun said smiling, Bailey Hongzhuang answered laughing. It's an honor for our esteemed prime minister to visit us. Naturally, we should go take a look. Di Beichen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, his gaze holding a spoiling light to it. He already knew why Li Chengxian came here today. He knew right away that it was because of Bailey Hongzhuang's unfortunate temper. This must have happened right after Nikkang Market. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen moved to the lobby, her footsteps calm and unhurried. Li Qingqian's heart had long been filled with fury. He was this dynasty's prime minister, the future Guizhong, but Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang dared to make him wait for them. Chun Wangye and Chun Wangfei are indeed busy people. Guizhong is kind of like Grand Duke, basically the emperor's father-in-law. Chapter 118. Li Chengxian's words were full of sarcasm. Although he didn't directly say it aloud, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were both smart people and naturally knew the anger hidden in his voice. What kind of business does Prime Minister Li have with us? Di Beichen's expression was calm, acting as if the one Li Chengxian was mocking wasn't him, and got straight to the point. An instant of bewilderment flashed in Li Chengxian's eyes. Di Beichen never had any kind of status, so according to reason, he should have already been shivering in fear and trepidation. But now as Di Beichen opened his mouth to speak, an imposing aura erupted, filling the air. It was even enough to make him feel pressured. Exactly because of such pressure, Li Chengxian didn't press any further. I came here today to ask a favor from Chun Wangfei. Her beautiful face held a touch of confusion. Bailey Hongzhuang asked, Ask me? Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's honest confusion, Li Chengxian's heart grew a little anxious. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang truly didn't have anything to do with this? From the moment he started speaking, he had always been observing Bailey Hongzhuang. If this really was Bailey Hongzhuang's doing, she shouldn't have been able to hide it so well. Recently, strange blemishes had begun to appear on my daughter's face for no reason at all, and hoped Chun Wangfei would be able to treat this. Li Chengxian slowly spoke. Even though he was the one asking for Bailey Hongzhuang's help, Li Chengxian's face was still as haughty as before. Coming here with his identity, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't dare refuse. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faintly discernible cold smile as she stared at Li Yue, who was standing behind Li Chengxian, her voice provocative. Miss Li came to ask for my help. Li Yue was very unwilling, coming to the prince's palace. She had previously wanted to make a show out of Bailey Hongzhuang, but now she has lowered her head to Bailey Hongzhuang for a favor. Like this, where'd her face go? Ask you. When Li Yue heard Bailey Hongzhuang's provocative tone, her face instantly flushed red. You're dreaming. Oh, Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. Then please go back. I'm very busy with other things. Bailey Hongzhuang's attitude was lazy, her words seeming very indifferent. In fact, she had never intended to give Li Yuyue the medicine from the start. She was never a kind-hearted person. Those that offend her must prepare to pay a price. Li Yuyue was startled. She never thought that even with Li Chengxian present, Bailey Hongzhuang would still dare to act so arrogant. Bailey Hongzhuang, you clearly know my identity. You actually dare to refuse. Li Chengxian's face was gloomy. This Bailey Hongzhuang truly didn't know what was good for her. An utterly enchanting smile bloomed from the corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips. Li Yuyue, weren't you also saying this sentence earlier? The light in her eyes grew impatient. Bailey Hongzhuang thought that Li Yuyue was truly an idiot without brains, doing nothing all day but using her identity to bully people. Apart from this, she simply didn't have anything else. Audacious, Li Chengxian was angry. Bailey Hongzhuang, I am the grand and magnificent Prime Minister. Those who dare to offend me, do you know their fates? Bailey Hongzhuang's smile slowly turned cold, her voice containing a bone-chilling iciness. In any case, I'm a Qin Fei. As the Prime Minister, what can you do to me? If you have the ability, do it directly. Don't stay here to speak a pile of rubbish. I'm too lazy to listen. Hearing her words, Li Chengxian was unable to restrain his anger. With his identity and position, whoever in the imperial court would yield to him, or at least give him some face. This Bailey Hongzhuang actually had the impertinence to challenge him, simply courting death. Bailey Hongzhuang, do you think your life will be happy as Qin Fei? Qin Wang is only a bastard child, and isn't even favored by the emperor. Like this, what are you going to be? Li Chengxian shouted. Because Li Chengxian was so furious, he didn't think of any consequences and directly spat the words out. Almost everyone knew Qin Wang was the bastard child of Xianyuan Yutian, but almost nobody dared to speak it aloud in front of others. When Li Chengxian said these words, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly felt the low pressure surrounding her, almost making it hard to even breathe. Are you aware of what you're saying? An icy, constrained voice suddenly sounded. Bei Chen's eyes seemed to hold a terrifying storm, like a black hole containing unimaginable power. Li Chengxian was startled. Only after spitting those words out did he regret them. Even if it was true, anything that related to the imperial household's prestige mustn't be talked upon lightly. If this were to be passed on to the emperor, he'd be completely out of luck. Sensing Bei Chen's cold, acute gaze, Li Chengxian could only feel as if he was being stared at by a fierce beast, his whole body freezing up, becoming hard to even breathe. His eyes slowly widened. Li Chengxian looked at Bei Chen, stunned. Before, he had only thought Bei Chen was a cripple without the least bit of power. But Li Chengxian never thought he could actually also be so frightening. Although faint, he almost felt the same fear standing in front of Bei Chen as standing in front of the emperor. How could it be possible? Li Chengxian felt stunned by his thoughts. His imposing aura was simply too astonishing. How could Bei Chen have changed so much after marrying? Seeing Bei Chen actually dare to threaten Li Chengxian, Li Yu's voice was furious. You, a cripple, dares to threaten my father. What do you see us as? Saying this, Li Yu turned to face Bailey Hongzhuang arrogantly. Bailey Hongzhuang. Before Li Yu could finish her sentence, Bailey Hongzhuang heard a loud noise followed almost immediately with a mad screech from Li Yu. Because right when Li Yu started to speak, He Mu acted. It was simple but ruthless. One fist directly met Li Yu's body, blasting her straight outside the lobby, smashing through the front door before landing in the yard. He Mu's eyes flashed with excitement. For these 3 past years, he was always forced to restrain his killing intent whenever his little lord was insulted and humiliated. His little lord had never let him act. But today his little lord actually allowed him. Just from little lord's attitude in allowing him to take action, He Mu knew that they would no longer have to endure silently. Just the thought of this made his heart beat with excitement. Li Chengxian was stupefied by what had just occurred. Everything happened in a few, mere seconds. Before he could even react, Li Yue was already seriously injured. Dibei Chun, you're done for. Li Chengqian's face turned extremely ugly. He simply couldn't believe the scene before his eyes was actually real. The until now always bullied and humiliated Dibei Chun actually dared to strike against his daughter. Old scoundrel, I'm giving you a chance. If you don't get lost right now, I won't mind having you fly out as well. Dibei Chin's face was indifferent, playing down the scene as if it was no different from kicking out a dog. Good, good. Li Chengqian's face paled, his eyes containing nothing but fury. Dibei Chun, you'll definitely regret this. Scram! Li Chengqian immediately left the lobby, dragging Li Yue behind him as they left Prince Chen's mansion. In his heart, he secretly vowed to take revenge. Bailey Hongzhuang raised a slender brow. The scene before her was even more brilliant than she had thought it'd be. Chapter 120. Wifey, were you taken breathless by your hubby? Turning his head, a bewitching smile formed on Dibei Chen's face as he gazed at Bailey Hongzhuang teasingly. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help be startled at the speed Dibei Chen's expression changed. Speechless. Look at yourself first. Aren't you the one breathless? Although she said that, the smile in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes actually deepened. From Dibei Chen's actions today, she clearly understood what he wanted to do. Even a fish, upon encountering difficulties, could become a dragon. Dibei Chen was never destined to live his life curled up in the tiny foam bow country. Now that his legs were cured, the ambitions in his heart would naturally arise. They happily talked with each other until they arrived at their rooms, but they didn't mention Li Yue at all. In fact, they never even placed Li Yue in their eyes. In the deep moonlight, the wind was cold like water. The light of the moon shone clearly through the window into the room, glimmering over Dibei Chen at the side of the window. A pondering look appearing on his unusually handsome face. Little Lord, He Mu stood perfectly straight, saluting behind Dibei Chen. Dibei Chen didn't turn around, and only gazed at the bodies of stars in the night sky, his eyes hazy. Are all the preparations complete? He Mu nodded his head, answering the little lord. Everything is already prepared. Tomorrow, we will leave Feng Bo country. You guard Hongzhuang in secret. No matter what, you must protect her. Dibei Chen ordered. He Mu understands. Looking at his tall and straight posture, He Mu's eyes slowly changed. Little Lord truly does treat Lady Bailey differently. Originally, his little lord used to loathe anything that would hinder him. As a result, for the past few years, there was not one person that could enter the little lord's heart. But since Lady Bailey's arrival, it all seemed to change. Little Lord even left him here to guard her. This alone was enough to show her importance in the little lord's heart. Dibei Chen waved his hand, and He Mu left promptly. Little Lord wanted to depart tomorrow, so he probably had many things to talk about with Lady Bailey. Bailey Hongzhuang was cultivating in her room when she suddenly heard a burst of movement outside the door. Dibei Chen directly pushed open the door and entered. Could you at least knock on the door before entering? Bailey Hongzhuang was completely speechless. How would she face him if Dibei Chen were to accidentally see her while she happened to be changing clothes or something? Dibei Chen smiled ambiguously at Bailey Hongzhuang. You're already my wifey. How could you still see me as an outsider? Not regarding somebody as an outsider doesn't seem to be a very good idea. Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow without another word before sitting down and pouring herself a cup of tea. Coming to find me so late at night. Is something wrong? The teasing look disappeared from Dibei Chen's face, and gazing fixedly at Bailey Hongzhuang's face, he slowly said, I need to leave tomorrow. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes changed a little. Although she had already anticipated Dibei Chen's leave earlier, hearing it now, her heart still couldn't help but tremble. Oh, Bailey Hongzhuang agreed indifferently, her face the same as ever, as if she didn't care at all. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang hid her feelings extremely well, Dibei Chen still managed to see through to the turmoil in her heart. His eyes turned a little warm. Bei Chan took a seat beside Bailey Hongzhuang. His pupils, deep like an ocean's, gazed at Bailey Hongzhuang's that were black as ink, his face serious. I need to go out later. You must take good care of your body. Don't let yourself get injured. Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to laugh at the few words Bei Chan had said, but when she saw the deep worry in Bei Chen's eyes, her voice got stuck on her throat, and she was unable to say anything. I will come back as soon as possible. Chapter 121. Bei Chen's voice lowered slightly as he gazed at Bailey Hongzhuang's face as if he wanted to engrave her appearance into his very mind. His words were spoken like a promise. He will definitely come back as soon as possible. Once it's solved, he'll immediately look for Bailey Hongzhuang. An ambiguous feeling permeated through the air. Bailey Hongzhuang's face turned a little strange. Bei Chan was truly devious. I got it, Bailey Hongzhuang said. Even though your legs are cured, your physique still hasn't changed. Bei Chen's lips curved into a faint smile. A moment ago, just for an instant, he could see Bailey Hongzhuang's cheeks turn red. Evidently, she was too shy and deliberately changed the topic. Okay. Bei Chan's face held something that was like a smile, yet not a smile. The embarrassed Bailey Hongzhuang was simply too adorable. Bailey Hongzhuang turned her head away. She knew clearly just how keen Bei Chen's senses were, and must have long discovered her changes. She didn't want to look at him. This is for you. Bei Chan finally broke the silence, handing an heaven-earth bag over to Bailey Hongzhuang. Inside are some resources for your cultivation. At your current stage, it's very useful. I don't need it, Bailey Hongzhuang declined. She didn't lack money right now. She could prepare some cultivation resources by herself. But the second the words came out of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth, Bei Chan refused. Take it. I know you can do it yourself, but even if you want to buy some resources for cultivation, you might not be able to in Fengbo country. Bailey Hongzhuang tried to reject by pushing it away. However, she took it after listening. She knew clearly that Bei Chen's words were the truth. Although you could buy many things in Fengbo County, a few herbs were very rare. Just for example, Bailey Yuyin had wanted to buy a cultivation pill, but simply couldn't find a way to. Sometimes, even if you had the money to, you still might not be able to buy what you need. Tomorrow's the royal family's hunting competition. You have to perform well. Bei Chan's eyes were like an abyss, holding a trace of regret. He wanted to accompany Bailey Hongzhuang to join the hunting competition together, but now he couldn't continue to stay. For this, he already waited for 3 full years, so he can't keep waiting anymore. Bailey Hongzhuang raised his eyebrows and asked, "What else do you need to worry about this journey? Just take good care of yourself." She understood that Bei Chan had something very important that he needed to do. In her heart, she sincerely wished him success. As for herself, what did she need to fear? Wifey, are you worried about me? Bei Chan teased with his eyes full of smiles. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't refuse. Leaving like this, she truly was worried for Bei Chen's safety. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang admit it directly, Bei Chen couldn't help but stare blankly. Soon after, a smile filled his handsome face, graceful yet bewitching. I will definitely follow the mistress's orders. Return safely. The next day, the sun shone brightly, as if bathing the blue sky. When Bailey Hongzhuang left the house, Bei Chen already left the Chen Manor. Staring at the empty room beside hers, her heart couldn't help but have a burst of disappointment for an instant before a bright and enchanting smile filled her face. Today is the day for her to display her ability. This useless trash should have already been removed. The carriage was long well prepared. Bailey Hongzhuang set off for the royal family's hunting competition site. He Mu followed Bailey Hongzhuang closely behind. According to the orders of the young lord, he only needed to ensure the safety of the girl. In any other case, he does not need to show himself. Chapter 122. Luoxia Mountain was located in the eastern part of Fengbo country, past the imperial palace. The region was vast and not remote, so every time, the royal hunting competition would always be hosted there. When Bailey Hongzhuang arrived at Luoxia Mountain, dozens and dozens of tents were set up, some even far into the distance. Feng Bo Country's flag danced freely alongside the wind. Imperial bodyguards strictly patrolled the camps as the servant girls busied themselves in the tents. When Chen Wangfei's carriage slowly wheeled in, everybody's eyes all turned to stare. Yesterday, news of Li Chengxian being humiliated at Chun Palace had been passed on to almost everybody. Although Li Chengxian tried to hide it as much as possible, it was inevitably discovered by some people. Since Li Yue became the future crown princess, many people started to pay close attention to the Prime Minister's mansion. So when a usually high-profile Li Yue suddenly began to stay inside, almost everybody thought that it was rather fishy. But Li Chengxian, that old fox, arranged everything so that not even one drop of water could leak out, keeping everything secret. Bailey Yuyan still cared especially a lot about Li Yue. After all, Li Yue was the one that snatched away her heart's love and her position. Before, Li Yue always walked in front of her proudly. Suddenly lying low like this simply wasn't her style. Bailey Yuyan quietly asked around. Just as she had expected, the Prime Minister's mansion had been paying close attention to Chun Palace's movements, particularly when Dibei Chun and Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the palace. When Bailey Yuyan heard this, she immediately rushed over, wanting to find a reason why, only to see Li Chengxian hastily dragging Li Yue out of Chun Palace. The bloodstains left on the floor clearly showed Li Yue was injured. Although she didn't know why Li Chengxian and Li Yue went to Chun Palace, if Li Yue got seriously injured, it was no wonder she wasn't here. Whether it was Li Yue or Bailey Hongzhuang, they were all targets Bailey Yuyan loathed, so immediately after finding out, she had to spread the news. The future crown princess was beaten in Chun Palace, and Chen Wangfei was the former crown princess. This fact was simply too overwhelming, attracting everybody's attention. Originally, I heard Li Yue spent a lot of effort preparing for the royal family's hunting competition to make a good performance. But today, she still hasn't come. It's likely that she must have suffered too great of an injury at Chun Palace. Whether it was Chan Wang or Chen Wangfei, they both seem to have changed a lot after getting married. It looks like they aren't easily bullied anymore. Prime Minister Li already came. Bailey Hongzhuang must have staged a good show, truly letting people look forward, People busily talked, their eyes flashing with excitement. A good show like this was truly hard to come by. Bailey Yuyan was even more excited. This entire play was staged by her. Before, Bailey Hongzhuang treated her like that. This time, she'll let Bailey Hongzhuang suffer. With the sound of a reminder, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked out of the carriage. A vast hunting field appeared in front of her, surrounded by a bright, golden fence. Everywhere was beautiful and noble. The royal hunting competition was set in 3 days. Everybody rested in the rear tents. The hunt was ready to begin, and everybody was already gathered in the field. Everyone stared at Bailey Hongzhuang, an incredulous light in their eyes. Chapter 123. Bailey Hongzhuang wore a long, white cheongsam. It fluttered with the cool breeze, joining with her cold temperament, as if she was walking on clouds, hazy and touching. Bright, golden sunlight shed on her body, like a layer of golden dust, making her appear even more noble and splendid. Every aspect of her face was simply perfect, every action revealing an incomparable elegance, giving people a beautiful pleasure. After not seeing her for some time, Chen Wangfei seemed to have gotten even more beautiful. Nobody knew who said it first, but everyone couldn't help but nod their heads along in agreement. They all thought Bailey Hongzhuang's beauty was all the more moving. The #1 beauty of the imperial city was a title only she'd be worthy of. It's no wonder His Highness, the Crown Prince, regretted it so much, handing over such a great beauty to someone else who couldn't regret it. These words were undoubtedly all the men's thoughts. If they could have such a beautiful woman, they'd even be willing to give up 10 years of their life. Although Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chun married and already had a bun in the oven for some time, Bailey Hongzhuang was still the most sought-after woman in the imperial city. Bun in the oven, pregnant before, they only heard Bailey Hongzhuang was trash that couldn't cultivate. Then even turning blind after, she could be described as a complete tragedy. Nobody paid any notice to Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance. But now that she appeared in front of their eyes, she was like a blazing sun, brilliant rays of light completely overshadowing all the other young misses. They now knew this former cultivation cripple was actually a peerless talent. Hearing the conversations of the crowd, flames of envy leaped into Bailey Yuyan's eyes. Attention whore. Bailey Haoxuan also stared at Bailey Hongzhuang hatefully. Because of Bailey Hongzhuang breaking his arm, even now his injury still wasn't completely healed. He had no way of joining this year's royal hunting competition. Originally, he had wanted to make a good performance at the royal hunting feast and bring glory to the general's household. That honor which should have belonged to him was stolen away by Bailey Hongzhuang. Sister, you must help me take revenge. Bailey Haoxuan clenched his fists, malicious light flashing in his eyes, his voice cold and gloomy. Bailey Yuyan nodded her head, the corner of her mouth curling into a vicious smile. Haoxuan, don't worry. Your older sister will definitely avenge you. No matter if it was for you or for myself. This time, they must completely throttle Bailey Honghao. With regards to this, they needed to have sufficient preparation. So long as Bailey Hongzhuang comes, she will certainly die. Under everyone's burning eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's face stayed calm as she entered the line. Whether it was her or Dibei Chun, neither of them had a good relationship with the chancellors. She didn't need to care about them because whoever stayed to watch the show were all her enemy. Bailey Hongzhuang, at all times, why hasn't Qin Wangye still come to protect you? Bailey Yun asked. It couldn't be that he didn't dare to come because of his crippled legs, could it? Hearing those words, everyone one after another looked at Bailey Yuyan and Bailey Hongzhuang. Just as expected, as soon as they saw each other, Bailey Yuyan was already picking a fight. Their hearts were also very suspicious. According to reason, Dibei Chun and Bailey Hongzhuang should have come together. But why was Bailey Hongzhuang the only one that came? Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Bailey Yun indifferently, her voice soft and mocking. Ugly person, I already told you not to come out. Why won't you listen to me? Chapter 124, those simple words stabbed straight in her sore spot. Even now, there wasn't the slightest bit of improvement with the scars on her face. As time went by, she slowly got used to it. But Bailey Hongzhuang's words were simply too rude. Bailey Hongzhuang, what does my ugliness have to do with you? Bailey Yuyan couldn't hide the anger on her face. This woman's would make a person cough blood. What does Dibei Chen coming or not have to do with you then? Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. With your looks, there's no way my Holmes Wangye will look at you. Don't delude yourself. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the way everybody looked at Bailey Yuyan couldn't help but change slightly. Could it be that Bailey Yuyan has eyes on Dibei Chun? Earlier, Bailey Honghao was meant to marry Xianyuan Huan, but Bailey Yuyan had stolen Xianyuan Huan. Bailey Hongzhuang was now married to Dibei Chun. Would Bailey Yuyan try to snatch him away too? Seeing everyone stare at her with contempt, Bailey Yuyan's face suddenly changed. I didn't have any notions about Dibei Chun. TL's note. The Ra actually said Bailey Hongzhuang, but I believe it's a typo. Then why are you still asking? Bailey Hongzhuang's face was indifferent. From beginning to end, her face was always calm and even. But on the contrary, Bailey Yuyan was constantly hopping around in anger, really suspicious. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Bailey Yuyan still couldn't face off against Bailey Hongzhuang. Even though she had started the quarrel, the one ridiculing her the most now was Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Yuyan seemed to be stomping around in anger similar to the ugly duckling, whereas Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to be a true noblewoman. Sensing the crowd's gaze change, Bailey Yuyan's face turned ugly. She had always wanted to take revenge on Bailey Hongzhuang in front of everybody, but every time, it never seemed to end well. Sister, there's no need to take part in her nonsense. There will be plenty of time to make that trash lose face soon. Noticing the awkward position Bailey Yuyin was in, Bailey Haoxuan immediately started ridiculing her too. Bailey Yuyin nodded her head slightly, coldly snorting. Her mouth couldn't match Bailey Hongzhuang's, but she only needed a moment for the hunting feast to begin before she forces Bailey Hongzhuang to kowtow and beg forgiveness from her. The smirk on Bailey Hongzhuang's lips didn't change while Bailey Haoxuan looked at her with disgust. Defeated by my hand, what qualifications do you have? Hearing her words, Bailey Haoxuan's face instantly turned ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang had truly hit it where it hurts. From childhood, he had never placed Bailey Hongzhuang into his eyes. Under his hand, that trash would only be led to a dead end. But this time he was actually defeated by Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. Beaten by trash, wouldn't that mean he was trash below trash? Bailey Hongzhuang, last time you were only full of tricks. This time, you'll die a very ugly death. Bailey Haoxuan said while clenching his teeth enraged. He really regretted not being able to kill Bailey Hongzhuang right then. Everybody looked at each other in dismay. Bailey Hongzhuang and the general's household relationship has truly become irreconcilable, even having no misgivings, leaving no face in front of so many people. While the crowd was talking, the emperor, empress, and his highness, the crown prince, slowly walked in like stars around the moon, attracting everyone's attention. Everybody watched until the empress and emperor sat down, smiling. Today is the day of the royal family's hunting competition. I hope that the younger generation can show a good performance. Cultivation was the most important thing in the Shengxian continent. The younger generation he was facing now would very likely be the future dynasty's cornerstone and tower of strength. Therefore, he valued them all very much. The younger generation's faces shone with excitement. This was the royal family's hunting competition. If they showed a good performance and managed to attract the emperor's attention, their future would be very bright. Whoever can win first place in today's hunting competition will get a beast pet. The next moment, Xinyuan Yutian words were like dropping a stone into a calm pond, creating many waves. Everybody couldn't help but stare, eyes wide as they looked at Xinyuan Yutian excitedly. A beast pet, that was something everyone longed for, In the Shengxian continent, there were some demonic beasts that were caught and trained from a young age. If you could contract with such a creature, they would become your most faithful partner in your lifetime. A human's heart was unpredictable. A beast pet was truly the most trustworthy. Beast pets had different levels of strength, but they were all very rare and precious. They were something common people simply couldn't have. Even the sons and daughters of government officials couldn't afford them. So when Xinyuan Yutian announced beast pets as the reward, everybody grew excited. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes also changed slightly. There was always a reward for the top 3 in the royal hunting competition, but it was the first time the prize was so extravagant. She was also very interested in this beast pet. She had to get first place. Sensing the crowd's fervent, fiery eyes, Xinyuan Yutian's smile widened. This was the effect he had wanted. This year's royal hunting feast was somewhat different from the usual. He needed to spark the younger generation's potential. Know that there are other people watching the royal hunting competition as well. In addition to the first place's bee spirit, second place will get a bone-cleansing pill, and third place receives a lotus cloud fungoid. With every word Xinyuan Yutian spoke, their eyes grew more and more fervid. The rewards this time are really rich, The royal family's capital is truly deep. This is the first time I saw such lavish awards. They're really lucky to participate in this year's royal hunting contest. Everyone couldn't help but have a burst of envy. Who knew who could get into the top 3? This time, the rewards were just too enticing. Bailey Yuyan's face was filled with hard-to-hide excitement. Getting first place was simply a golden opportunity bestowed by heaven for her. In the past, she was always competing with Li Yuyue, but now she's injured and unable to take part in the royal hunting contest. Although the other cultivators' strength weren't bad, there was still quite a gap between her and them. Although Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to be able to compete now, she was definitely not her opponent. This way, Xinyuan Huan would win first place, and she would at least have second place on her hands. Although she really wanted the beast pet, if Xinyuan Huan became first, she could accept it. Xinyuan Huan arrived at the hunting ground, his eyes going straight to Bailey Hongzhuang. In the time he didn't see her, Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have grown even more beautiful and enchanting. Could it be that she truly loves Dibei Chun? Because she loved Dibei Chun, after marrying, she became all the more beautiful and alluring. Thinking of this, an uncontrollable and frantic jealousy filled Xinyuan Huan. This was the woman he fancied. That Dibei Chun trash dared to snatch her away. Master, that Xinyuan Huan keeps on staring at you. Little Black couldn't help but say. That sort of undisguised gaze was difficult to ignore, but she already had no interest in Xinyuan Huan whatsoever. Bailey Hongzhuang chucked a bit, just let him. Little Black grinned. Master's charm is truly unlimited. Chapter 126, Xinyuan Yuqian, swept over the crowd of youths before finally stopping on Li Chengxian, his gaze revealing a trace of suspicion. Prime Minister Li, why don't I see Li Yiyue? Li Yiyue was the future crown Prince Wang Fei. If she could give a good performance at the royal hunting competition, she would become much more respected. When Xinyuan Huan spoke, everyone's faces looked as if they were preparing to watch a good play. The atmosphere turned tense. Li Chengxian was just waiting for a chance to teach Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chun a lesson. If the emperor just so happened to mention it, he could take the chance to strike. Just as expected, Li Chengxian's face instantly flushed with anger. His eyes stared at Bailey Hongzhuang, filled with rage, as if he wanted to boil her into stew right then and there. You should ask Chen Wangfei about this, Li Chengxian said coldly. Hearing his words, Xinyuan Yuqian looked at Bailey Hongzhuang astonished. He had heard before that Bailey Hongzhuang and Li Yiyue had a conflict in Nikkang Market. Could this be related to that? Prime Minister Li, speak clearly. I can't understand what you mean. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was indifferent. Even though she knew Li Chengxian would definitely seize the opportunity to attack her, she simply didn't care. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's attitude, Li Chengxian's eyes were replaced with hatred. Emperor, right now Chen Wang and Chen Wangfei are acting so arrogant as if no one else mattered. Yesterday, at Chen Wang's hand, Yiyue was actually injured. Yiyue truly wanted to take part in the royal hunting competition, but her injury was actually very severe and was in no condition to participate in the competition. Li Chengxian's voice grew more and more emotional. Emperor, you must give Yiyue justice, Xinyuan Yuqian and Jiang Jiniying's faces changed when they heard his words. From Li Chengxian's words, they knew that it must be true. But up until today, Dibei Chun was always bearing it patiently. Why would he suddenly change his attitude now? But they knew Dibei Chun's original identity. However, for the past 3 years, Dibei Chun had always been low-key and enduring it silently. They had thought Dibei Chun no longer had any prospects, so they grew more and more careless about him. Now Dibei Chun's attitude suddenly changed back to his original mannerisms. Is it because he wanted to protect Bailey Hongzhuang? Or could it be he finally had the resources to go back? Thinking what might happen, Xinyuan Yuqian and Jiang Jiniying's hearts trembled. If it was truly such, Dibei Chun must not be allowed. Chen Wangfei, do you have anything to say? Xinyuan Yuqian asked, remaining calm and collected. Li Chengxian's status in Feng Bo country wasn't ordinary. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes shined with scorn, asking, Prime Minister Chen avoided the important and only spoke of trivial things. Why don't you say why you came to the prince's palace in the first place? Hearing her words, everyone couldn't help but look at Li Chengxian curiously. Even now, they all thought it was very strange that Li Chengxian and Li Yiyue had gone to Chen Palace. It was just too odd. Li Chengxian's face changed slightly, his brain continually thinking of excuses why Li Yue couldn't come to the royal hunting competition. Although he was ashamed and resentful about Li Yue getting wounded yesterday, it gave him a very good excuse for him to cover everything up. He didn't know how so many people already knew of this, but right now, it was better to just say it instead of hiding it. Whether it was Dibei Chun or Bailey Hongzhuang, nobody could compare to his status and identity. From what he saw of the emperor's attitude to Dibei Chun, he was sure the emperor would stand on his side. Chapter 127. A few days ago, Yue and Chun Wangfei had a little conflict, so I brought Yue to Chun Palace to clear the resentment between us. But I didn't expect for Chun Wangfei to speak so rudely or for Chun Wangye to actually send someone to seriously wound Yue. Chun Wangye and Chun Wangfei's conduct is just truly too much. Li Chengqian's words were filled with righteousness, acting as if Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chen's actions were disgraceful and outrageous. Facing Li Chengqian's criticism, the scorn in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes only grew deeper as her lips widened into a smile. Prime Minister Li, how could you not blush saying such things? What I said were facts. Why would I blush? Li Chengqian insisted. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at the crowd around them. Prime Minister Li might as well ask everyone here. Does anyone think he is saying the truth? Everyone lowered their heads one after another. In fact, nobody believed Li Chengqian's words were the truth. With Li Chengqian and Li Yue's temper, not forcing Dibei Chun and Bailey Hongzhuang kowtow in an apology would already be pretty good. Going personally to seek reconciliation, how could that be possible? Seeing everyone's faces, Li Chengqian's complexion turned ugly. What do you mean? Justice for myself is the will of the people. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrow. Since you brought up the topic yourself, I don't mind saying the truth. Emperor, yesterday Li Chengqian and Li Yue went to Chun Palace just to speak rudely, ordering people by pointing the chin to make me treat an illness. Then he made jeering remarks, saying Wang Ye was your illegitimate child. So in his anger, Wang Ye sent someone to take action. Everybody sucked in a cold breath as Bailey Hongzhuang finished her words, staring at her shock. Until now, news of Dibei Chun being the emperor's illegitimate child was always spread around secretly. Although Xianyuan Yuqian already heard of it, nobody would dare to come out and say it directly. But didn't Bailey Hongzhuang just do that? Xianyuan Yuqian's brows couldn't help but raise. Is this true? Emperor, you cannot listen to her drivel. Li Chengqian immediately tried to justify himself. If even a bit was revealed, his position was at risk. Bailey Hongzhuang is saying this to escape the blame. Emperor, please see clearly. Emperor, Li Chengqian was always trying to hide that Li Yue's face had gotten a disease. Even today, in order to conceal it, he shrank from responsibility and tried to push all the blame onto my body. As long as Emperor sends someone to the Prime Minister's mansion, you will understand. Bailey Hongzhuang continued to remain calm. As early as yesterday, she had already expected for something like this to happen. Li Chengqian's position was rather high and would surely try to avoid all responsibility while pushing it all onto her. But apart from the Emperor and Empress, nobody knew of Dibei Chen's identity. Therefore, along with Dibei Chen's sudden rise, their positions would be incomparable. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang speak so reasonably, everybody was somewhat partial to Bailey Hongzhuang. After all, Li Yue not coming today was just too suspicious. Li Chengqian instantly turned ugly. In accordance with his plan, the emperor shouldn't have allowed Bailey Hongzhuang to even explain, but the situation right now was entirely different from what he had thought. Emperor, Li Chengqian still wanted to explain. If the emperor truly sent a person to check the prime minister's mansion, the secret would no longer be possible to cover up. Xianyuan Yuqian waved his hand. This affair will stay in the royal hunting competition and will be discussed after. Chapter 128. At this very moment, Xianyuan Yuqian's heart simply wasn't into it. He only wanted to understand why Bei Chun suddenly changed. Before he found out why, he would not make a decision. Looking at Xianyuan Yutian's attitude, Li Chengxian didn't dare to be wordy. He held a faint feeling in his heart. Li Yue's dream of becoming the crown princess Wang Fei was finished. Bailey Yuyan's eyes twinkled with excitement. Whatever the final result was, it would either be Bailey Hongzhuang's or Li Yue's downfall. Both were what she had wanted. This time, she really made a good move. Like this, the Prime Minister's mansion and Chun Palace had become complete enemies. She truly didn't break a sweat defeating her rivals. Suddenly, Bailey Yuyan sensed Bailey Hongzhuang smiling as she stared at her. Bailey Hongzhuang's two pitch-black eyes seemed to be able to pierce through a person's heart, like all her thoughts were exposed with nowhere to hide. She knew. From Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, Bailey Yuyan was sure Bailey Hongzhuang knew everything she had done. How was it possible? Bailey Yuyan couldn't help but be scared, but then quickly calmed down. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang knew, what proof did she have? Note, Ross used Bailey Hongzhuang, but I'm assuming it's a typo. A moment later, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a smile. She slowly raised her right hand. While no one was watching, she looked at her and gave her a throat-cut gesture. Bailey Yuyan's mind couldn't help but shake, a trace of chilliness making its way into her heart. When she looked at her again, Bailey Hongzhuang was no longer staring at her. The Royal Hunting Competition's rules are as followed. Luoxia Mountain only has one storm wolf. Whoever is capable of beheading the storm wolf and bringing back its demonic crystal will be first place. In addition to this, second and third place will be awarded according to the number of demonic beasts you kill. Hearing the name, Storm Wolf, the competing younger generation's faces all changed. A storm wolf's strength was equivalent to the cultivation of late-stage, mysterious earth. But its body was very nimble and was very fast. Its speed was like a ferocious storm, hence the name. But even though on paper it only said the storm wolf was at the late-stage, mysterious earth, in fact, it was very difficult for cultivators of late-stage, mysterious heaven to kill it. This time, although the hunting competition's rewards were unprecedentedly rich, the trials were also very big. The Royal Hunting Competition officially begins. With a wave of Xianyuan Yutian's hand, the curtain to the hunting competition opened. The minds of everybody competing were cold. Today, it was their stage to reveal their strengths. All the youths conferred with their family elders. They needed to choose a good colt to ride into the hunting field. Father, I will work hard. Bailey Yuyan's face was serious. For her, this was her last chance. If she couldn't give a good performance today, she needn't think about going out into the sun again. Bailey Jintao slowly nodded his head. Originally, he had wanted for Bailey Haoxuan and Bailey Yuyan to perform well in the hunting competition together, but now he could only rely on Bailey Yuyan. These days, more and more troubles emerged for the general's household. If Bailey Yuyan could get into the top 3, some of the negativity surrounding the general's household will loosen. Perform well. Bailey Jintao clapped Bailey Yuyan's shoulder, his face holding a comforting smile. Although Bailey Hongzhuang prevented Bailey Haoxuan from competing, Bailey Yuyan's rival also wasn't able to compete. This time, the Prime Minister's household was doomed to fail. Chapter 129. Not many could match Bailey Yuyan's strength in the younger generation. Taking the top 3 wasn't hard at all. Saying this, Bailey Jintao couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang. Since the day Bailey Hongzhuang blocked his fist, he already knew Bailey Hongzhuang was able to cultivate and was actually not at all weak. But it was only the touch of a fist. He had no idea how strong Bailey Hongzhuang truly was. Bailey Hongzhuang picked out a fine, black horse. She stood up and saddled the horse before raising a whip, urging it to the hunting field. Everybody watched Bailey Hongzhuang go inside the hunting field, their eyes all reflecting shock. Wasn't Qin Wangfei incapable of cultivating? She actually dared to enter the hunting field alone. If she came across a demonic beast, wouldn't she die? Demonic beasts were ruthless. Every time a royal hunting competition was hosted, there would always be some deaths. Therefore, if one of the younger generations was too weak, they wouldn't dare to join. But Bailey Hongzhuang was known in the imperial city as trash. Now entering the hunting field alone, wasn't she simply courting death? Your information must be too old. Before at Godly Doctor Square, Chun Wangfei defeated Bailey Haoxuan. Bailey Haoxuan was truly strong at mysterious earth middle stage cultivation. Is that true? But I heard the general's household say Chun Wangfei used some kind of trick to overpower Bailey Haoxuan. If she was truly able to cultivate, why would she have always held the title of trash in cultivation? Listening, everybody was uncertain. In fact, everything they knew was only hearsay. Nobody knew what was true and what was false about Bailey Hongzhuang. In my opinion, I think Chen Wangfei used many tricks to win at that time. Otherwise, why would the general's household always treat her as a disgrace? Everybody nodded. A few couldn't help but sympathize with Bailey Hongzhuang. Bei Chen wasn't participating in the hunting competition. Bailey Hongzhuang was unable to cultivate. If she meets Bailey Yuyin, what good result could she have? In the hunting field, life and death were only natural. Anything could happen. Based on how much Bailey Yuyin despised Bailey Hongzhuang, she would definitely find a secluded place to quietly kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Then, Bei Chun would have no way of helping. Sister, you must succeed, Bailey Haoxuan shouted. Bailey Yuyin looked at Bailey Haoxuan and then saw Su Wanjing glance at her. Bailey Yuyin shouted back, rest assured, I will definitely settle this perfectly. Having said that, Bailey Yuyin urged her horse into the forest with a whip. She had to find Bailey Hongzhuang and finish her. The hunting competition lasts for 3 days. All the participating cultivators must survive until the last day before coming out. The royal family's imperial guards also patrolled the hunting field, conveying information into the outside. EU Xinyuan Yutian first sent out people to look for news about Bei Chun. He needed to know what Bei Chun was thinking. In the hunting field, everywhere was filled with trees reaching as high as the sky. The morning sun peeked through the trees, revealing sparse rays of light. Bailey Hongzhuang walked into the mountain range. The environment was quiet. The only sound was the horse's trotting footsteps. Hearing the words, Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. Her deep, black eyes, deep as a well, flashed with alarm and suspicion. Chapter 130. The two black and white fluff balls always had good talent. After cultivating for so many years in the primordial chaos ring, no matter if it was mind or body, they were very strong. To say the least, right now, she was no match for the two fellows. But since she wanted to increase her strength as fast as possible, she had usually never let the two fluff balls come out. She firmly believed Little White's judgment. The royal hunting competition this year is very different from the previous ones. Bailey Hongzhuang's black pupils contained thoughtfulness, just that the awards are incomparable to the former years. Something abnormal must have happened. If there wasn't something wrong, it'd be impossible for the royal family to give such a heavy reward. These people must only be observing the situation in the hunting competition and probably aren't dangerous. Little Black slowly said. It could sense the meaning behind the searching gazes and knew that they didn't have a target or particular goal. They only wanted to clearly watch Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in the hunting competition. Hearing its words, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly nodded her head. It doesn't matter what their goal is so long as I get what I need. As for anything else, she just didn't care. For the participating cultivators, a storm wolf really isn't an easy test. Little Black smiled. If a cultivator with insufficient strength were to run into the storm wolf, it was very much possible for them to lose their lives. But with Bailey Hongzhuang's strength, it posed no threat at all. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile. The most troublesome thing isn't necessarily the storm wolf, but the people. Xinyuan Yutian said it very clearly. Whoever could return with the storm wolf's crystal would be the victor. As for who killed the storm wolf, it didn't matter. Whoever could get the wolf's crystal and successfully appear in front of Xianyuan Yutian was the most important. She was almost certain that the overwhelming majority of the cultivators didn't think about how to kill the storm wolf, but how to handle whoever killed the storm wolf. Little Black and Little White fell silent. This was something they were very clear about. Usually cultivators had their own group or school they belonged to, so it was very rare for a cultivator to be alone like Bailey Hongzhuang. "Master, what are you planning?" Little Black couldn't help but ask. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly. "Let nature take its course." The horse ran through the mountains. Bailey Hongzhuang's posture was unaffected, her eyes always looking for changes in the environment. She was currently in the outer ranges of Luoxia Mountain, which had the least demonic beasts. The deeper she goes in, the higher and higher the chances are of finding demonic beasts. Time slowly passed by. Bailey Hongzhuang's luck was actually pretty good. Even after walking for so long, she still hadn't encountered even a single demonic beast. "Master, someone's following us," Little Black said suddenly. Bailey Hongzhuang's face didn't change. Her refined, quiet, and exquisite face rippled with a clear smile. Bailey Yin is still truly impatient. We'll just let her continue to tail us. There was nothing great about Bailey Yin's shadowing technique. She had long discovered her. This woman must be impatient to find a secluded spot to kill her. Her red lips raising slightly. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth curved to form an icy, sly smile. Since Bailey Yin was already itching to get on with it, she'll find a good place for her. Their contradicting views were too strong. One needed to go. Chapter 131. Bailey Yin carefully followed behind Bailey Hongzhuang's body. Her horse had long been discarded. Otherwise, its stomping would easily inadvertently alarm Bailey Hongzhuang. She had always been looking for an opportunity to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang, but Chun Palace was always heavily guarded. She was always never able to do a thing. The royal hunting competition was a long-awaited for opportunity. In here, even the heavens wouldn't know that she was the one who killed Bailey Hongzhuang. She had trailed her for the whole journey. Bailey Yin discovered that Bailey Hongzhuang was walking to a more and more remote place. Around them, there were already no cultivators in sight. A sin-sider smile appeared on her face covered with thick scars. The gods were truly on her side. As she heard the footsteps behind her grow louder and louder, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile grew more and more mocking. Originally, she didn't plan on using the royal hunting competition to dispose of Bailey Yin. Doing it now seemed very good. Little Black and Little White watched Bailey Yin strut towards them, their eyes full of interest as if they were watching a good play. "Bailey Hongzhuang, in here. I want to see who can save you." Bailey Yin's face was arrogant. At last, she no longer needed to hide. The thought of Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance as she kowtowed to her while begging forgiveness couldn't help but give Bailey Yin a burst of excitement. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly turned her body. A faint smile hung on her beautiful, delicate face. Bailey Hongzhuang, never needed anybody to protect me. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent face, Bailey Yin froze for a second and couldn't help but turn around. Could there be someone else nearby? But when she looked, there was nobody near them at all. "Bailey Hongzhuang, daring to boast shamelessly now, you're truly just like a damned duck reluctant to admit its mistakes." She was certain that there wasn't anyone else in the clearing. Bailey Yin completely laid down the worries in her heart. With her strength, it was just too easy for her to dispose of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's hands reached to her chest, a shallow smile on her face. "You're still talking rubbish." Bailey Hongzhuang's voice dropped, her eyes filled with coldness. She didn't want to waste time on Bailey Yin. "Since you came to kill me, make a move." Bailey Yin was startled. The situation gave her a somewhat unreal feeling. Normally speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang should have panicked the moment she saw her, using everything she had to stall for time. But then why did it feel like their positions were swapped? "Since you want to die, I'll help you." Bailey Yuyin snorted coldly. The inner force in her body surged up. Without seeing the coffin, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't know fear. First, she'll give her a little taste. Early-stage mysterious Ian ranked power instantly flooded out. Bailey Yuyin's eyes were filled with excitement. For the past few days, she was cultivating with all her strength. Even her mother took out everything she had to support her, allowing her to finally break through into the mysterious Ian realm. Apart from the general's household, she didn't tell anyone else. Bailey Yuyin wanted to create a big stir in the royal hunting competition. You're very lucky, being the first one to see the power of a mysterious Ian-ranked cultivator. You're sick. Bailey Hongzhuang's black eyes didn't hold any surprise, not hiding the sneer on her face. She had already predicted that Bailey Yuyin would break through to mysterious Ian realm's early stage. After all, the general's household also didn't lack resources. All of Bailey Jintao's hopes and dreams rested on Bailey Yuyin's shoulders, so naturally, he would be willing to support her. What did you say? Bailey Yuyin raised her voice. Bailey Hongzhuang actually dared to say she was sick? Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged her shoulders indifferently. It's just breaking through. Why be so proud? Bailey Yuyin's delicate body trembled. Bailey Hongzhuang's reactions were completely different from her expectations. Why wasn't she the least bit scared when she found out? Bailey Yuyin grew angry, her chest heaving up and down. Once I beat you up, you won't dare to be so arrogant. With your skills. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her chin, eyes full of disdain. She waggled a finger. It's not good enough. Hearing her words, Bailey Yuyin was filled with anger. Let's see if Bailey Hongzhuang would dare to mock her after being beaten to the ground. Bailey Hongzhuang's pupils flashed, inner force also surging through her body. Now, she can finally avenge the dead Bailey Hongzhuang. But right at that moment, Bailey Hongzhuang discovered a figure approaching them not too far away. Master, that person is Xianyuan Huan. Little Black piped up. Hearing its words, Bailey Hongzhuang pursed her long brows. She didn't expect for Xianyuan Huan to suddenly appear now. Xianyuan Huan had started looking for Bailey Hongzhuang II. He entered the hunting field. But by the time he entered, he was already late. There were already no traces of Bailey Hongzhuang. He himself also didn't know why he wanted to find Bailey Hongzhuang. Maybe it was because his heart was somewhat unwilling and find out what Bailey Hongzhuang was doing when all was said and all was done. Suddenly, some noise ahead of him attracted Xianyuan Huan's attention. The sounds weren't unfamiliar at all to him. It was Bailey Yuyin's voice. Bailey Yuyin, what are you doing? Xianyuan Huan shouted angrily. Bailey Yuyin was actually preparing to kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Yuyin was just about to swing down her hand to kill Bailey Hongzhuang when she suddenly heard a voice from behind her. She couldn't help but be startled, her fist missing its target. Because of the missed power, Bailey Yuyin's face turned red, receiving some backlash. Xianyuan Huan finally arrived in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and Bailey Yuyin. Bailey Yuyin's face changed, her charming face covered with panic. Your Highness, the Crown Prince. Bailey Yuyin, this time you actually wanted to kill your own sister. You're truly Scorpio-hearted. Xianyuan Huan lashed out. Bailey Yuyin's face turned pale. She didn't expect Xianyuan Huan would actually lash out at her so ruthlessly, and all because of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Yuyin glared at Bailey Hongzhuang, her eyes full of hatred. This was all your plan. Now, she could understand why Bailey Hongzhuang was so calm and collected. It was all because she was waiting for Xianyuan Huan to appear. Bailey Hongzhuang was somewhat speechless. Bailey Yuyin's imagination was truly too terrible. She already had a plan the minute Bailey Yuyin began following her. When Xianyuan Huan appeared, he not only ruined Bailey Yuyin's plans, but hers as well. Whatever you think, it didn't matter to Bailey Hongzhuang. Xianyuan Huan faced Bailey Hongzhuang, his voice a bit gloomy. Are you okay? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes sneered. Yes, I would like to thank His Highness, the Crown Prince, for his care. Chapter 133. Although Xianyuan Huan didn't pick a fight with her, Xianyuan Huan's relationship with the former Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't be ignored. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's sarcastic words, Xianyuan Huan was somewhat embarrassed. Before, he and Bailey Yuyin were always using every possible way to humiliate Bailey Hongzhuang. Caring for her now was indeed somewhat ridiculous. Your Highness, Crown Prince, what you saw just now isn't what you think. Bailey Yuyin hurriedly tried to explain. Even though she knew it was almost impossible for her and Xianyuan Huan to be together now, she still loved him. Xianyuan Huan wrinkled his brows. I saw everything clearly. What are you trying to explain? It's not like that. Bailey Yuyin continued to blabber, her hand pulling at Xianyuan Huan's arm. She really didn't want Xianyuan Huan to loathe her. Master, some cultivators are approaching here, Little White said grudgingly. It had thought Master finally would have been able to teach Bailey Yuyin a lesson. But now, they were unable to dispose of her. Bailey Hongzhuang restrained the cold light in her eyes. With so much noise here, it was difficult to avoid attracting attention. Rather than taking action now, it was much better to leave first. AI, truly a pity, missing such a great opportunity. Little Black sighed with regret. Bailey Yuyin should have long ago been dealt with. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled indifferently. We have 3 days, there'll be plenty of chances. Besides, she didn't even need to bother herself to find Bailey Yuyin. Bailey Yuyin would come to her and would definitely be dealt with sooner or later. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang turned around and walked ahead without the slightest bit of hesitation. Bailey Yuyin and Xianyuan Huan can become everybody's gossip, but she didn't want to have any relations with those two. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang turning around to leave, Xianyuan Huan immediately wanted to chase her. However, Bailey Yuyin was still tightly hugging on his arm. She couldn't allow Xianyuan Huan to leave like this. If he did, she would never get another chance to explain everything to him again. Xianyuan Huan's eyes were helpless. He wanted to take back his sleeve from Bailey Yuyin's arms, but he still had to take into account his image in front of all the cultivators watching him. He could only watch Bailey Hongzhuang's figure walk further and further away. To get rid of Xianyuan Huan, Bailey Hongzhuang considered continuing to walk deeper into Luoxia Mountain, but then changed her mind. She didn't want Xianyuan Huan to catch up with her. Roar! Suddenly, a demonic beast howled, attracting Bailey Hongzhuang's attention. Her beautiful face turned serious. There was a demonic beast nearby. Boom, boom. Just then, Bailey Hongzhuang saw 2 red beams of light lunging towards her. As fast as lightning, her heart beat. Bailey Hongzhuang shifted her feet, her figure quickly disappearing and appearing not so far away. The demonic beast clearly didn't give up because of Bailey Hongzhuang's disappearance, its gaze once again turning to stare at her. With a glance, Bailey Hongzhuang instantly recognized the demonic beast that had just attacked her. It was the mysterious Earth Intermediate, Middle Stage demonic beast, Firefox. A firefox's entire body was scarlet like a flame. Wherever it lived, the surrounding temperatures will slightly rise. It specialized in speed and sneak attacks, and its nature was warlike. It often takes the initiative to attack cultivators. Bailey Hongzhuang wielded a sword, her black pupils glinting coldly. The firefox bared its fangs as it looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, its face fierce. After failing the first time, it appeared to be dissatisfied as it rushed at her once more. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes sharpened, the qi in her body surging. In a split second, she reached the firefox and attacked. Chapter 134. You could only see a flash of silver light, together with the sound of something falling to the ground. Thump! The head of the firefox fell to the floor, still baring its fangs. However, it no longer had any of its former sinister appearance. Bailey Hongzhuang calmly landed on the ground, turning to the firefox's head. Her long double-edged sword moved, directly taking out the crystal from inside its body. With her current strength, a firefox was nothing. As she continued her journey, Bailey Hongzhuang encountered many demonic beasts, but she always disposed of them quickly, as if it was something she did every day. The royal hunting competition was always held at Luoxia Mountain, so the demonic beasts inside were usually roughly the same strength as the cultivators. Otherwise, the younger generation inside would suffer heavy losses. That was not the result the royal family wished to see. The curtain of night shrouded the earth. The night at Luoxia Mountain was especially clamorous. Demonic beasts always preferred to move at nighttime. Countless screams and roars could be heard inside the mountain range, falling incessantly on the ear. "Master, the time is already late. It's better to find a remote place to spend the night," Little Black suggested. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly nodded. "I was just looking for a safer area to rest." At nighttime, wanting to rest safely wasn't easy. You needed to avoid the demonic beast's range, or else it'd be near impossible to rest well. She had a lot of experience with mountain ranges. Before, she would often train in the mountains and clearly understood how to find somewhere to rest. Little Black and Little White's faces were filled with confusion. They actually didn't know what she meant by safer area to rest. Inside the black canopy, a white figure was constantly moving, seeming to be a ghost. A long time later, Bailey Hongzhuang finally found an area she was satisfied with and at once leaned on the tree to rest. Little Black and Little White were very aware that their roles were to guard her. They looked at Bailey Hongzhuang curiously. "Master, why aren't you lighting a fire?" Usually in the pitch-black night, people would always set up a bonfire to keep warm. Other cultivators were already lighting their own fires, but they discovered that their master had no intentions of making her own. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled gently. Low-level demonic beasts are very sensitive to flames. If someone lights a fire, they would attract many demonic beasts. Cultivators with experience would usually not choose to light a fire, because it was tantamount to directly revealing your location. Even if the demonic beasts were nothing to some cultivators, they might still bring about hidden troubles. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the confusion in Little Black and Little White's eyes changed into adoration. Sure enough, Master was the best. Bailey Hongzhuang closed her eyes and entered a state of cultivation. The power in the mountain ranges are very rich and very beneficial to her cultivation. The many cultivators resting in Luoxia Mountain had no idea that everything they did were being watched by other people. I heard that in the Imperial City, Bailey Hongzhuang was known as trash. But now it seems that her aptitude is even better than many of the others. A man dressed in black robes stood, his eyes flashing with appreciation as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's body amongst all the other cultivators. Earlier, Bailey Yuyin thought to destroy Bailey Hongzhuang. Now I think Bailey Hongzhuang movements will be interrupted. Fu Hongbo smiled faintly. Lu Huayin nodded. The other cultivators have already started to form teams, but this girl still intends to stay alone. At Bailey Hongzhuang's age, it wasn't easy to spend the night alone, let alone compete against almost all of the cultivators' experience. Chapter 135, only if they could find teammates to rotate the night vigil with, can have a good rest. Almost every competitor was like this, but only Bailey Hongzhuang was an exception. I like this girl. Fu Hongbo's lips formed a faint smile. Now, apart from the usual scattered loose outside, it's not easy to find such a girl with such a strong will in a royal's family hunting competition. Hearing so, Lu Huayin's eyes also flickered with approval. These days, there are less and less good seedlings inside the officials' homes. I still found a few I like with rather ordinary talents amongst the younger generation, but this is the first time a royal hunting competition is so interesting. Save me. Is there anyone? Help! A panicked cry for help echoed, not too far away, the voice full of extreme fear and dread. Bailey Hongzhuang opened her eyes, looking in the direction of the voice. Not saying anything further, she turned and walked over to the source of the screams. Little Black and Little White shared a glance. Their master would never make a loss. With her temper, it was impossible that she'd save somebody for no cause or reason. As Bailey Hongzhuang gradually approached, the fire blazed eye-catchingly in the night. Really, Bailey Hongzhuang's face was calm. She was already sure that the other party's trouble was because of the demonic beasts attracted by the fire. In her sight, she could see the figures of a man and woman besieged by 4 flame civets. Flame civets were especially sensitive to fires. As long as there was a flame in the open, it would be attracted to go there. But she didn't expect for there to actually be so many flame civets on Luoxiao Mountain. The man and woman were both at Mysterious Earth's intermediate stage, the same as the flame civet. But there were more flame civets than them, and coupled with their panic, lead to a huge loss in fighting strength. Only a short time had passed, and there were already countless scars on their bodies. Xiao Shifan and Zhao Yunqian's heart were filled with extreme fear. They also didn't expect for so many flame civets to suddenly appear. The two of them weren't the flame civets' opponents. Sooner or later, they would die there. Yet when nobody came despite their cries for help, the two's hearts slowly lost all hope. In the past years, there was never a lack of fallen participants during the royal hunting competition, and it seemed like the two would be part of the dead ones of this year. At this moment, Xiao Zifan suddenly discovered a movement in front of them. A white figure appeared, facing them. Suddenly, he became ecstatic. "Miss, please help us. We'll always be thankful to you." They were the same lever as the flame civets, but there were more flame civets leading to their current situation. But if this girl could join them, the situation could still be changed. However, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't even glance at them. She only turned around and walked away. Her bright, limpid eyes held a trace of disappointment. She had thought that the storm wolf appeared, but didn't expect it was only 4 flame civets and that they were just making a fuss about nothing. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang instantly turn around, Zhao Yunqian recognized Bailey Hongzhuang's identity. The hope on Zhao Yunqian's face immediately disappeared. Right now, the whole situation could be turned around if anyone joined. Anyone but Bailey Hongzhuang. Who didn't know that Bailey Hongzhuang was trash that couldn't cultivate? She coming here was simply courting death. "Miss," seeing Bailey Hongzhuang ignoring his call for help and turn around to walk away, Xiao Zifan couldn't help but shout again. Zhao Yunqian interrupted Xiao Zifan's shout. "Xiao Zifan, it's useless to ask for help. Bailey Hongzhuang is that trash who can't help us at all." Chapter 136, hearing it was actually Bailey Hongzhuang. Xiao Zifan's face became difficult to look at. He had finally seen a ray of hope in the crossroad between life and death, but didn't think the one who had come was Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang appear, one of the flame civets recognized her as an attack target and immediately rushed over to Bailey Hongzhuang. "Chen Wangfei, watch out!" Xiao Zifan warned her immediately. Today, it was his calamity. Although he wasn't very close to Bailey Hongzhuang, he still didn't want to see her die because of him. Sensing the flame civet rapidly rushing towards her, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with coldness. Her sword came out, its speed like lightning. Only a silver flash was visible before Bailey Hongzhuang withdrew her sword. Laying on the ground, the flame civet already couldn't make a sound. Seeing what had happened, Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunqian stood in shock. Staring with their eyes open to gape, they couldn't believe all what happened in front of them had been real. That was a mysterious Earth intermediate stage flame civet. Did Bailey Hongzhuang actually just kill a flame civet with a single move? Even before the two of them could see the movements of Bailey Hongzhuang clearly, everything had already ended. G.U.H. Zhao Yifan's mouth sputtered. Bailey Hongzhuang was actually so powerful. If it wasn't for the fact that they were still being attacked by the flame civets, Zhao Yunqian truly wanted to rub her eyes just to make sure what she was seeing was real. When the flame civets saw their companion be killed by Bailey Hongzhuang, they all started howling and charged together towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was indifferent as she waved her sword. Rays of light flashed and all the attacking flame civets were beheaded. Pung, pung, pung. One by one, the 3 flame civets' corpses dropped to the floor. From start to finish, Bailey Hongzhuang was always calm. She killed the mysterious Earth Intermediate staged flame civet, as if she was only killing an ordinary cat. Waving her sword again, Bailey Hongzhuang skillfully removed the flame civet's demonic crystals. These things had many uses. Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxian looked at each other before slowly walking over to Bailey Hongzhuang. Many thanks to Chun Wangfei for disposing of the beasts and coming to our aid. Xiao Zifan cupped his fists in gratitude. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the two indifferently. She had no impression of the two in front of her. Actually, the only people she knew in the hunting competition were Bailey Yuyin and Xinyuan Huan. Don't thank me. Thank yourself. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly turned around, unhurriedly walking back to rest. Originally, she had no intentions of helping them, and only decided to when she heard Xiao Zifan shout at her to be careful. At least Xiao Zifan was kind-hearted. She was willing to spend a little energy to help him. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent appearance, Xiao Zifan unconsciously felt a little strange. He shouted as he watched her leave. No matter what, thank you for saving us. Don't light any fires at night. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure faded away into the forest, a cool breeze carrying the warm words. Xiao Zifan smiled a little. Before he didn't know Bailey Hongzhuang at all, but after meeting her, he thought that she was actually a very good person. I didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was actually so strong. Zhao Yunxian said in a daze. Only using one hit to kill a flame civet. How could she be so powerful? Xiao Zifan shook his head. He only knew Bailey Hongzhuang's strength far surpassed theirs, but had no idea how far. It seems like everyone's judgment was wrong. Chun Wangfei simply isn't trash at all. Zhao Yunxian sighed with relief. We finally escaped the frightening experience without pain, safe and sound. We are indebted to Bailey Hongzhuang. Xiao Zifan smiled, turning around to extinguish the fire. He took Bailey Hongzhuang's final departing words to heart. The night quietly passed. As the sun rose, Bailey Hongzhuang stopped cultivating and freshened herself up before once more continuing her journey. Bailey Hongzhuang began to take the initiative to attack. Anytime she heard a demonic beast's movements, she would go to check it out. She needed to find the storm wolf's location for the competition. Throughout the course of half a day, although Bailey Hongzhuang didn't find the storm wolf, she did collect many beast crystals. Master, we still haven't found the storm wolf. Little White's face was helpless. Although the range of their spirit force was very wide, something in the hunting field was hindering it, making the range of their searching very limited. After probing around with their spirit force, they were still unable to find even a trace of the storm wolf. Bailey Hongzhuang pursed her lips into a small smile. Luoxiao Mountain isn't small at all. We've already explored half of it, so the storm wolf should be somewhere up ahead. We'll run into it sooner or later. From the cultivators competing this year, only Xinyuan Huan or Bailey Yuyin would be able to kill it. If someone did kill it, once the news is spread, even if they could escape the first time, they wouldn't be able to escape again. Bailey Hongzhuang continued to move ahead when suddenly a figure appeared in front of her. When Yi Yitong saw Bailey Hongzhuang come, her pretty face couldn't help but turn a little disappointed. Although there were many demonic beasts in Luoxiao Mountain, killing them one by one was very troublesome. It was much better to rob other cultivators, saving time and effort. Seeing a woman come alone without another person gave Yi Yitong this idea. After all, with her mysterious Earth late-stage cultivation, there was almost no chance of failure. But she didn't expect for this woman to actually be Bailey Hongzhuang. The excitement in her heart completely disappeared. Such trash, even surviving in these mountains until now, was already a miracle. How could she have killed any demonic beasts? Hand over all your beast crystals and money, and I will release your horse. Yi Yitong said lazily. Although she didn't care about Bailey Hongzhuang, As the Chun Wang Fei, she should be very rich. Robbing some money was also very good. Seeing Yi Tong look at her with contempt, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a bewitching smile as she asked, "What? What?" Yi Tong couldn't help but laugh. "Because in front of my strength, you're just trash. Who do you think you are?" Bailey Hongzhuang's smile slowly turned cold. "You dare to talk big in front of me?" Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang act like this, Yi Tong sneered. It seems that Bailey Hongzhuang still didn't fully understand the situation. "Do you think it would be safe just because of your title of Wang Fei? This is the hunting field. Even if I kill you, nobody would ever know." Bailey Hongzhuang's smile turned even more enchanting and seductive. "I want to see if you have the ability." Yi Tong was speechless. Bailey Hongzhuang, that trash, was mocking her? She dares, not knowing fear until facing death. Yi Tong's words contained killing intent. "I already gave you a chance. Since you can't differentiate between good and bad, don't blame me for being ruthless." Only a silver light could be seen, piercing into the vast sky. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure disappeared, no longer standing where she was before. Shadowless kill can kill people without a trace, and its speed couldn't be judged. When she just began to train in her past life, this was the skill she relied on most to kill people. Although now she was in a different body, she was still skilled as before. Tian Weiming watched lazily. He didn't care about Bailey Hongzhuang. He only thought of it as reaping benefits in passing. This kind of trash, he had no interest at all. Beast crystals, demonic cores, but in the next moment, Tian Weiming could no longer smile, his eyes filled with fright. He couldn't even hear the two weapons meet. He could only see Bailey Hongzhuang's figure disappear, and then reappear behind Yi Tong like a ghost. Thump! A heavy body fell to the ground with a loud thump. Yi Tong's two big eyes stared at the ground. The ridicule and happiness in her eyes were replaced by dense fear. Warm liquid gushed out of her throat, impossible to stop. One move, only one move, and she no longer had the strength to fight back. Yi Tong's heart was filled with unwillingness. She didn't want to believe that she would die today at Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. She only thought it'd be a one-sided slaughter. How come she ended up losing her life? Nobody gave her an answer. Even Bailey Hongzhuang didn't spare her so much as a glance after she hit her. Yi alone was certain that she had already killed her. Looking at the unmoving Yi Tong, Tian Weiming was completely stunned. What happened? The smile on Bailey Hongzhuang's lips grew more and more enchanting. Her red lips gently opened, her voice full of charm. "You said you wanted to kill me?" Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang speak those words in such a soft voice, Tian Weiming could only feel his back turn cold, the fear enveloping him. He and Yi Tong were both at late-staged, mysterious Earth. Since Bailey Hongzhuang was capable of killing Yi Tong in one stroke, killing him was just as easy. Chun Wang Fei, I had eyes but failed to recognize MT Tai. You must spare me this time. Tian Weiming's face was pale as he begged for mercy. Earlier, you threatened to kill me. Did you really think that I would let you off? Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. If someone offends me, Bailey Hongzhuang, they will not have a good end. Her voice was hard. Bailey Hongzhuang's sharp sword moved again. Before Tian Weiming could escape, he had already died. The two were dealt with in a flash. Bailey Hongzhuang calmly took the two's heaven and earth pouches before continuing her journey. If others didn't offend her, she wouldn't offend others. She never liked taking the initiative to invite trouble upon herself. But if others looked for trouble with her, she wouldn't be soft. Little Black and Little White each took a heaven-earth pouch and looked inside. There were many demonic cores. It looks like it wasn't the first time they did something like that. Today's harvest is far better than killing demonic beasts individually. Bailey Hongzhuang kept all the demonic cores together. With Yi Tong's temper, she's afraid that the number of cultivators that died by her hand weren't small. Chapter 140. Through her exchanges with other cultivators, she knew that nobody had encountered the storm wolf yet. Out of 3 days, 2 of them have already passed. There was only 1 day left. Everyone had already started to look for the storm wolf. Once again, finding a quiet region to rest, Bailey Hongzhuang entered a state of cultivation. During the day, she had killed many demonic beasts, consuming much of her qi. She needed to cultivate and raise her power to stay at optimal strength. As Bailey Hongzhuang quietly cultivated, everybody was talking about Yi Tong's and Tian Weiming's deaths. I saw Yi Tong and Tian Weiming's corpses. They were killed cleanly with a cut to the throat. It must be a cultivator who did this. Hearing what the cultivator said, everyone was startled. Yi Tong and Tian Weiming were very strong amongst the cultivators competing in the hunting competition. If they could directly kill 2 late-staged, mysterious earth cultivators with only a stroke to the throat, just how strong were they? Yi Tong always acted arrogantly, never putting anyone into her eyes. It's not surprising for her to be killed because she offended somebody. Maybe the other party isn't alone. We need to be careful, otherwise it'd be too late to regret it. Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxian couldn't help but look at each other as they listened. Their minds instantly thought of Bailey Hongzhuang. Using 1 stroke of the sword to cut the throat, that was just like how Bailey Hongzhuang killed the flame civets. There was no one else on the whole mountain that had the capabilities to do it. But the 2 didn't say anything. Regardless of who killed those 2, it had nothing to do with them. And Bailey Hongzhuang was still the benefactor that saved their lives. When Bailey Yian heard this, she was also stunned. She and Yi Tong had kept in touch, and clearly knew the latter's strength. If she was right, besides her and Xinyuan Huan, Yi Tong and Tian Weiming were definitely the strongest here. But now the 2 were dead. Could that mean there were even stronger powers in the hunting field? Or were they killed under Xinyuan Huan's hand? Although Bailey Hongzhuang was cultivating peacefully, her spirit was actually very aware of her surroundings. The night seemed to be especially unpeaceful. The demonic beast's roars were far more than the last night, as if something had attracted its attention. According to her experience, something must have happened. At this moment, Little Black suddenly spoke up, its voice containing a trace of worry. "Master, a group of beasts are surrounding us in all directions. Its target is us." Bailey Hongzhuang her eyes. A cold, dark blue light flickered inside her dark pupils. The air was filled with the stench of blood. Hell wolf. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. She didn't expect for there to actually be hell wolves inside Luoxia Mountain. The strangest thing is that she'd never provoked them. So why would the hell wolves attack her for no reason? Hell wolves lived in packs. They were cruel and merciless by nature, their strength equivalent to mysterious Earth late stage. Hell wolves and storm wolves were different. Storm wolves not only lived alone, but its speed was also incomparable to the hell wolves. If you were to ask a cultivator what demonic beast they wanted to avoid the most, all of them would definitely say hell wolves without the least bit of hesitation. A single hell wolf on its own wasn't bad, but their strength as a group was terrifying. Once surrounded by a group of them, the vast majority of cultivators would definitely die. A group of dreadful demonic beasts was something no cultivator wanted to provoke. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly got up, her sharp sword already in her hand. She had a faint premonition this was a game. Chapter 141. Master, there's too many hell wolves for you to handle. It's better for you to let me or Little Black do it. Little White spoke. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was stronger than the hell wolves, she was heavily outnumbered. If all the hell wolves were to attack at once, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't be able to persist for long. Little Black nodded his head again and again, beginning to rub his fists. Just watch me beat up these bastards. That won't work. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lowered, You guys can't come out. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Little Black and Little White looked at each other. They immediately understood the meaning behind Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Someone's watching us here, so every action we do here will be seen. It's better to not take the risk. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were hard. This, I will do myself. Little Black and Little White knew that she was very serious about guaranteeing their safety. Although her strength still currently wasn't enough to protect them, she still didn't let them take any risks. If her calculations were right, then the pack of hell wolves must have been a plan set up a long time ago. Although she didn't know if this was done by another competitor or a third party, she knew for certain that some force was watching her. Therefore, she couldn't take any chances. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's confident speech, although Little Black and Little White turned silent, their hearts only grew all the more worried. Oh, the hell wolves began to howl, pairs of dark, indigo eyes locking onto Bailey Hongzhuang's body, flickering with hunger. They already clearly regarded Bailey Hongzhuang as food. Killing her too fast wouldn't allay their hunger. At such a dangerous moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was actually very calm. Hell wolves weren't her opponent. She just needed to save her strength and avoid making mistakes. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with a vicious, cold light as her stare locked onto the hell wolves. A dense killing intent filled the air. The hell wolves' king howled loudly. All the hell wolves seemed to have just gotten an order, at once charging at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's right leg suddenly stepped forward, mysterious early-stage power erupting from her body. A hell wolf took the initiative to lunge at Bailey Hongzhuang. Its jaw was open wide, exposing its sharp teeth. If Bailey Hongzhuang fell down, it would definitely bite her neck. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure moved. She quickly dodged its lunge, and at the same time, poured chi in her sword, directly stabbing towards the hell wolf's most vulnerable place, the stomach. A head of copper, bones like iron, and tofu for its waist. That was how people describe wolves. Under a group attack, she needed to save every drop of energy and kill a hell wolf with every strike. Only like this would the situation be turned around. TCH. The sound of sword piercing through flesh echoed. Bailey Hongzhuang lifted her left foot, directly kicking the hell wolf's corpse at another hell wolf. Slam! Thump! Bang! The hell wolves advanced dauntlessly in waves after waves, continuing to throw themselves at her. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure was like the wind. Her expression was calm and steady. From beginning to end, she never exposed the slightest trace of panic. As the family head of a famous clan, there was no counting how many bad situations she'd been in. It was only natural that she didn't feel any fear. An enchanting scarlet flower bloomed on her white robes. The hell wolf's claw streaked across, leaving behind a bloody scar. But Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to feel no pain, the wound not affecting her movements at all. Every move was fast and accurate. The hell wolves fell down one after another. After seeing so many of their comrades being killed by Bailey Hongzhuang, the other hell wolves no longer dared to step forward. This was instinctual fear. Liu Huayan and Fu Hong both couldn't say a word as they watched. Bailey Hongzhuang's performance had shocked them too much. They had also gone through this test, but their results couldn't even begin to be compared to Bailey Hongzhuang's. From those firm and far-sighted eyes, they could finally see a ripe spirit. This girl is very calm. Liu Huayan's face was filled with emotions. It was impossible for them to do this at Bailey Hongzhuang's age. They had even made preparations in case something happened. But now, it didn't seem like they need to do anything. Her mental strength is almost terrifying. Fu Hongbo's eyes shine brightly. He never thought that the one they didn't care for the most, Bailey Hongzhuang, would actually be the biggest harvest of this trip. No matter what, make sure to place her into the quota. Liu Huayan was sure that her future was limitless. This little Hongbo country would not be her stage. Fu Hongbo nodded in agreement, a bright, satisfied smile on his face. While the two people were talking, Bailey Hongzhuang looked suspiciously in their direction as she cut down more hell wolves. Her eyes, deep like ancient wells, flashed with cold light. Lu Huayan was startled, a trace of shock appearing in his eyes. This girl shouldn't be able to see us, right? With their cultivation, as long as they wanted to hide, nobody could find them. But Bailey Hongzhuang had clearly just looked at them. Impossible. It was probably just a coincidence. Fu Hongbo said slowly. Even so, his eyes couldn't help but flash with a trace of doubt. He had also felt Bailey Hongzhuang stare as if somebody really had seen them. But Bailey Hongzhuang was only an early-staged, mysterious Ian cultivator. It was impossible for her spirit force to find them. The two stopped suspecting her. If Bailey Hongzhuang really was able to see then, that'd just be too frightening. While Bailey Hongzhuang was dealing with the Hell Wolves, many of the cultivators who heard the howls curiously came to watch. The prize for first place was just too tempting. The wolf howls became the focus of everyone's attention. The storm wolf might have appeared, but when everyone arrived and saw the pack of hell wolves, their faces all turned pale, at once preparing to run away. If a hell wolf found them, once they were surrounded, they'd truly be dying without even an intact corpse. But just as everyone started to leave, somebody suddenly shouted, "Somebody's inside the hell wolves." Hearing the shout, everybody's footsteps couldn't help but stop. They grew a little curious. Who was the unlucky egg that got surrounded by a pack of hell wolves? Quickly look. The one inside is Bailey Honghao. Everybody became completely astonished, one after another jumping up trees, to look at the situation in the pack of wolves. Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yinxian also came. Hearing that it was Bailey Hongzhuang, the two looked at each other with alarm. This time, Bailey Hongzhuang's seriously screwed. Now she's destined to become the Hell Wolves' food. Everybody sighed with sorrow. Bailey Hongzhuang was too arrogant, and now she can only fall in the royal family's hunting competition. But when everybody climbed on the trees to see the Hell Wolves surround her, their eyes couldn't help but turn huge. They just couldn't believe the scene in front of them. Chapter 143. Bailey Hongzhuang's movements were like thunder, each strike with unparalleled speed. The Hell Wolves fell one after another, powerless. Her jade-like face was stained with blood. The dark red blood contrasted against her pure white skin, giving her an indescribable allure. How is this possible? Bailey Hongzhuang's trash, right? How could she kill so many Hell Wolves? You're trash. At the very minimum, Bailey Hongzhuang should at least be mysterious Ian early stage. Everybody gulped. None of them ever thought Bailey Hongzhuang was actually so powerful. If they were surrounded by so many Hell Wolves, they'd be long dead. What was especially scary was how Bailey Hongzhuang's face was calm and indifferent the entire time. The people who had originally called Bailey Hongzhuang trash felt their cheeks turn hot. If Bailey Hongzhuang was trash, what were they? Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi looked at each other. Sure enough, what they thought was correct. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was truly incredible. I wonder how many people would be shocked by this. Xiao Zifan sighed with emotion. Yunxi, I want to help. Earlier, Bailey Hongzhuang had helped them in their time of need. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang was in danger, he couldn't just watch without raising a finger. After being attacked by the flame civets last night, he had finally broken through to mysterious Earth late stage. Even though he knew his help wouldn't do much, he still wanted to go assist her. Only then can his conscience be clear. Hearing Xiao Zifan's words, Zhao Yunxi's eyes widened. Xiao Zifan, are you joking? Even if you broke through to late stage, going out to face that pack of Hell Wolves is the same as courting death. But Xiao Zifan's attitude remained firm. I already decided. Whatever the result is, I'll bear it myself. Finished speaking, Xiao Zifan no longer stayed, immediately heading towards Bailey Hongzhuang's direction. Zhao Yunxi quickly pulled Xiao Zifan's sleeve. Are you crazy? Xiao Zifan pursed his lips into a thin smile. When am I ever crazy? Moving his sleeve away, Xiao Zifan firmly walked towards the Hell Wolves. Zhao Yunxi stared blankly at his back. Watching Xiao Zifan's figure slowly fade away, she muttered, lunatic. As hell wolves were killed one after another, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly grew tired. She already tried her best to waste as little energy as possible, but each hell wolf had enormous strength. Every time she killed one, an enormous amount of energy had to be used. This isn't a good method. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly. Her eyes flashed as she thought. Suddenly, a figure slowly made its way in front of her. Seeing its appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with astonishment. Xiao Zifen, his clear, handsome face revealed a gentle smile as he plunged into the battle with no hesitation. His voice was soft as he spoke. "I came to help you." EU waves appeared in her calm, black pupils. She never expected that Xiao Zifen would suddenly come to her aid. Bailey Hongzhuang was a little touched. It wasn't her intention to help Xiao Zifen last night, but now he's here risking his life for her. Just by this fact alone, Xiao Zifen became her friend. "Be careful." Bailey Hongzhuang's voice dropped slightly. Although she knew Xiao Zifen had broken through to late stage, it was still dangerous for him to face the hell wolves. Chapter 144. When the crowd saw Xiao Zifen actually go to help Bailey Hongzhuang, their faces grew even more surprised. Is this Xiao Zifen stupid? Actually taking the initiative to throw away his life? Who would have imagined this guy was always just pretending to be dignified during the day, feigning righteousness? He deserved to die. Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Zifen stood back to back together. With Xiao Zifen's assistance, Bailey Hongzhuang had a lot less pressure. But Xiao Zifen and the Hell Wolf's strengths were very similar. Only a short time had passed, and he was already covered in wounds. Bailey Hongzhuang's bright phoenix eyes narrowed as she stared at the Hell Wolf's king standing not so far away. Continuing this kind of fight was very disadvantageous for her and Xiao Zifen. Only by killing the Hell Wolf's king she would have them retreat. When I count to 3, run through this encirclement of hell wolves. Your safety is the highest priority. Bailey Hongzhuang lowered her voice. Xiao Zifen was startled. Then what about you? I have a way to attract the hell wolves king's attention. Hearing her words, Xiao Zifen glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang deeply before immediately nodding his head. You must be careful. Don't worry, my life isn't so small. I won't die this easily. Her red lips hooked up into a small smile, blooming on Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful face enchantingly under the moonlight. 1, 2, 3. The instant Bailey Hongzhuang's voice fell, Xiao Zifen swiftly ran far away. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang ran in the opposite direction, moving to attack the Wolves King. It was originally going to kill Xiao Zifen, but after seeing him run away and Bailey Hongzhuang charge at him, the Hell Wolf King changed its target to her. The pair of deep blue eyes grew faintly red. So many of its companions had died under Bailey Hongzhuang's hand, causing the Hell Wolf's King to hate her to the extreme. Bailey Hongzhuang's shadow flickered, using her full strength to dodge the attacks. The crowd of Hell Wolves was very dense. Inside, she could only wave her sword once again, sweeping away the obstacles. But the Hell Wolf King seemed to know that he was Bailey Hongzhuang's target. He lifted his head and howled loudly. Bailey Hongzhuang's exquisite face was icy, the depths of her eyes cold, shining with ruthless, murderous intent. Master, this Hell Wolf King has also reached mysterious Ian early stage. Your strengths are the same. Little White reminded her. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly nodded her head, but her eyes didn't change, immediately brandishing her sword at the Hell Wolf's King. At the same time, the Hell Wolf King pounced on Bailey Hongzhuang. Its actions were cold and ruthless, its fangs wanting to directly tear Bailey Hongzhuang in half. Ding! Bailey Hongzhuang's sword clashed against the Hell Wolf King's fangs. A crisp sound rang out. The Hell Wolf King was completely unharmed, but the sword in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands had a large hole. Without waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to recover, the Hell Wolf once again attacked. Watching the scene, many of the young cultivators wanted to turn their eyes away. They couldn't bear to see Such a cruel scene. Without a weapon, Bailey Hongzhuang was not the Hell Wolf King's opponent. You could only blame Bailey Hongzhuang for being too arrogant to even be crazy enough to attack the Hell Wolf's King. Xiao Zifan had quickly left the Hell Wolves' encirclement. When he found that no Hell Wolves were chasing him, he couldn't help but sigh with relief, but his heart still worried for Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 145. Zhao Yunxi walked up to Xiao Zifan, her beautiful face filled with blame. Did you need to do that? Look at yourself. You're covered in cuts and bruises. She thought that Xiao Zifan was truly stupid. Yesterday, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't really want to help them, but he still insisted on paying Bailey Hongzhuang back for her kindness. Xiao Zifan ignored Zhao Yunxi's words, immediately turning to look in Bailey Hongzhuang's direction. Inwardly, he prayed for her to also be safe. The Hell Wolf King threw itself at Bailey Hongzhuang. Everybody watched as the figures of a human and beast intertwined together, the heavy smell of blood permeating through the air. Bailey Hongzhuang died. Let's go. One man slowly spoke. This battle today had truly opened their eyes and expanded their horizons. Hearing so, everybody jumped one after another down the trees. Although Bailey Hongzhuang's strength had exceeded their expectations, the result was just as they thought. Xiao Zifan's face instantly turned pale. He really didn't want to see Bailey Hongzhuang die like this. Don't look. You also knew it was impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to defeat the Hell Wolf's King. Zhao Yunxi rolled her eyes. She really didn't understand why Xiao Zifan was so fixated on this. The Hell Wolf's King's strength didn't even lose by much to the Storm Wolf's. No matter who it was, they could only die. From the moment Bailey Hongzhuang was surrounded, she was already destined to fall. But when Zhao Yunxi glanced at the Hell Wolf's King, she suddenly saw a bloody figure getting up from the Wolf King's corpse. Zhao Yunxi pointed her finger, but her throat seemed to be stuck. The words just couldn't come out. Seeing Zhao Yunxi's appearance that looked as if she had seen a ghost, Xiao Zifan pursed his eyebrows thoughtfully. His eyes following the direction of Zhao Yunxi's finger, his ashen face quickly turned pleasantly surprised. Bailey Hongzhuang, you didn't die? His bright, excited voice rang out in the quiet mountains. The leaving cultivator's footsteps slowed as they turned around. What did they just hear? Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't dead? After the group of Hell Wolves saw their king die, there was no longer any thoughts of fighting left in their hearts, quickly running away into the thick forest. Everyone was stunned as they looked at the figure dyed in red, chaotic waves appearing in their hearts. What? Bailey Hongzhuang defeated the Hell Wolf's King? I must be dreaming. The result was completely different from what everybody imagined. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang was mysterious in early-stage cultivation, it still should have been impossible for her to kill the Hell Wolf's King. Ah? Could her cultivation actually be at the intermediate stage? Hearing the guess, almost all the cultivators wanted to instinctively refuse. But when they recalled Bailey Hongzhuang's performance, the words couldn't help but be stuck in their throats. The thin, bloody figure was especially eye-catching in the dark night. After such a big battle, Bailey Hongzhuang's face was graceful and indifferent as usual. Only her aura was a bit denser. Her back was straight, walking step by step. It seemed almost as if she had stepped on the apex, leaving only a bright red figure imprinted in everyone's minds. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze slowly swept through the crowd before looking at her surroundings. In that instant, all the cultivators' eyes changed. Those sharp, icy eyes and cold gaze. None of them had the courage to face it. This was her aura. In that moment, everybody truly understood a single fact. Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't trash, but actually an unsurpassed talent. Bailey Hongzhuang finally arrived in front of Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi. Before Xiao Zifan could speak, Bailey Hongzhuang had already forced a small pill into his mouth. What did you make him eat? Zhao Yunxi asked, startled. Zhao Yunxi, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't do anything to hurt me. Xiao Zifen's face didn't have even a trace of nervousness. If Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to kill him, he would have already died 1,000 times. The pill she fed him should be to heal him. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Zhao Yunxi indifferently before turning back to Xiao Zifen. You're a lot smarter than her. Hearing her words, although Zhao Yunxi couldn't help but feel a little resentful, she wasn't able to find a good retort. Bailey Hongzhuang handed Xiao Zifen a white porcelain bottle. These are Jinchuang pills. Its quality is very good. Thanks. Xiao Yifan accepted the Jinchuang pills, smiling. No need. Her clear, beautiful face beyond compare rippled with a faint smile. You came to help me even under such dangerous circumstances. You are my friend. She didn't care about why he did that, or if Xiao Zifen was only trying to pay her back from yesterday. He had disregarded his own safety just to lessen her pressure. Not many people could do that. I'm very honored. Xiao Zifen's smile was like the sun. He truly wanted to become Bailey Hongzhuang's friend. After this short time in contact with her, he knew that Bailey Hongzhuang definitely wasn't as unapproachable as they saw on the surface, and actually, her thinking was very simple. I'll leave first. If you ever need help with something, feel free to look for me. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Zhao Yunxi's face, full of displeasure, and her lips curled into a thin arc. She didn't want to deal with a third unwanted guest. Xiao Zifen also understood what Bailey Hongzhuang meant. Without any objection, he said, there are many demonic beasts in the hunting field. Please be careful. Don't worry. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled openly before turning away to leave. When everybody saw Bailey Hongzhuang leave, the originally taut atmosphere relaxed. Everybody sighing with relief. Bailey Yuyan's really out of luck. Before she kept on calling Bailey Hongzhuang trash. I think now she was truly foolish. I heard Bailey Yuyan also broke through. Now her strength is incomparable to before. Even if she broke through, do you really think she's Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent? The crowd fell silent. Everybody saw Bailey Hongzhuang facing against that group of hellwolves. They've all seen her strength with their own eyes. From the bottom of their hearts, they were certain Bailey Yuyan was not Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent. After leaving the battle place, Bailey Hongzhuang continued to walk forward. Earlier, when she was fighting the Hellwolves King, its blood had sprayed all over her body. Smelling the stench on her body, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. Are there any rivers nearby? There's a river not so far away in the easy. Little Black piped up. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly nodded her head, turning to walk east. Reaching the river, she washed off all the blood reeking on her body before changing into fresh, clean robes. Finally, she stopped and sat down on a tree to rest. Master, the way the Hellwolves just suddenly appeared earlier was very suspicious. I think somebody must have deliberately lured them here. Little White's voice was heavy. Bailey Hongzhuang understood the demonic beast's temperament. If someone didn't provoke the Hellwolves, they wouldn't have attacked. Chapter 147. Her eyes that were black like ink flickered with coldness. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was icy and calm. Somebody was definitely behind this. It was nearly impossible that she made a low-level mistake like provoking a group of hell wolves, so a third party was the only possible explanation. Little Black frowned, but nobody competing in the hunting competition has the ability to do such a thing. The strongest competing cultivator's cultivation was only at mysterious Ian intermediate stage. Wanting to use the Hellwolves King for themselves was nearly impossible for them. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a dark smile. There's no way a competing cultivator did this. It must be someone else. You mean Little Black's fluff raised? Its heart also harbored the same suspicions. Right. One man and two beasts fell into silence, their hearts already certain. The next day, the sky bright, Bailey Hongzhuang opened her eyes. After a night's rest, her condition was restored by more than half. It's finally the last day. Today we'll look for the storm wolf. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes, speaking slowly. Little Black and Little White smiled confidently. Now that Master came out, first place would definitely belong to Master. After searching for 2 days without even finding a trace of the storm wolf, Bailey Hongzhuang had roughly narrowed down its location. Now, she didn't hesitate to set out. Only a white figure could be seen, flying from tree to tree. She was calm and graceful, as if she was traveling on flat ground. The thistles and thorns didn't seem to affect her at all. The hunting field's air became tense. Today was the last day. All of their results will be announced. In other words, today was everybody's last chance. But while the cultivators were desperately searching for the storm wolf in the hunting grounds, the mood outside was filled with shock. Xin Yuan Yutian and the chancellors listened to the Imperial Guard reporting the news in the hunting grounds, astonishment on all their faces. Last night, Chen Wangfei was surrounded by a flock of hell wolves? Xin Yuan Yutian asked. The Imperial Guard immediately nodded his head. Right? Chen Wangfei was encircled within a group of hell wolves alone. Xin Yuan Yutian's heart dropped. For the past 2 days, he had been searching for information on Dibei Chen. Although he didn't get an exact answer yet, he was certain Dibei Chen would go back to fight for himself. For these 3 years, although he didn't treat Dibei Chen badly, he also had been very apprehensive about his so-called talent. In fact, he actually never thought Dibei Chen would ever return to office after living as a hermit on Mount Dongshan figure to make a comeback. But now, what he had thought was impossible had now happened. He knew about Dibei Chen's former identity. Once Dibei Chen took everything back, his status would undergo an earth-shaking change. Bailey Hongzhuang was Dibei Chen's Chen Wangfei. If she got into an accident, one can easily imagine Dibei Chen's reaction. When Bailey Jintao, Su Wanjing, and Bailey Haoxuan heard the news, their eyes couldn't help but shine with happiness. Because of Bailey Hongzhuang's existence, it could even be said that their general's household had lost the most face it had ever lost before. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang was dead, they could only rejoice over her misfortune. That trash that only brought shame to their family never should have been born in this world. As the Imperial Guard looked at everybody's faces change, his own expression also turned a little strange. He still wasn't done speaking. Reporting back to the Emperor, my report still hasn't finished. Xin Yuan Yutian frowned. What more? He didn't care about anything else that happened in the hunting fields, his mind full of ways to tell Dibei Chen about Bailey Hongzhuang's death. Chen Wangfei killed the Hell Wolves King alone by her own power, scaring the rest of the Hell Wolves away. Chapter 148. When everybody heard these words, time seemed to almost freeze. Everybody's eyes widened as they stared at the Imperial Guard, thinking that they must have misheard what he said. You? What did you say? Su Wanjing couldn't help but ask. What a joke. It was a group of hell wolves. How could Bailey Hongzhuang even get out alive? Never mind kill the Hell Wolves King. After Su Wanjing asked, everybody's gaze once again landed on the Imperial Guard's body. This news was even more unbelievable than the sky falling down or the rain turning red. Chen Wangfei killed the Hell Wolves King alone by her own power, scaring the rest of the Hell Wolves away. The Imperial bodyguard repeated it again and again until everyone was sure that they didn't hear wrongly. But still, they just couldn't believe it. Did you see this with your own eyes? Li Chengxian questioned. He didn't believe Bailey Hongzhuang had that much power. The guard slowly nodded his head, his face serious as he answered, yes. Everybody looked at each other. Even though the guard confirmed it, they still found it too hard to believe. A woman known as Trash actually killed a Hell Wolf King? A Hell Wolf King's strength was the mysterious Ian intermediate stage. Until the Imperial bodyguard left, everyone was silent. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe it. Xin Yuan Yutian and Jiang Jinian glanced at each other. They were just as shocked as everyone else, unable to believe that was the truth. From Bailey Hongzhuang's recent actions, they already knew Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't simple. But now it seems that the general's household, who took a heaven-gifted genius as trash, truly had no eyes. Originally, they had thought Bailey Hongzhuang was unsuited to be the crown princess, no whether in etiquette or in strength. But now, it appeared that they had truly miscalculated. In the whole country, never before was there such an outstanding woman as Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Jintao fell in deep silence. Although other people didn't believe it, he did. He knew she wasn't weak since that time she stopped his fist, but he never expected her to be strong enough to slay a Hell Wolf King. Now, Bailey Yuyin might not even be her match. A hard-to-describe irritation and bewilderment enveloped Bailey Jintao's heart. He could understand Bailey Hongzhuang's thoughts. Why did she pretend to be trash for all those years? Suddenly, Bailey Jintao's gaze fell upon Su Wanjing's body. Over these past few years, he had never even so much given a glance at Bailey Hongzhuang. Everything he knew about her was from Su Wanjing's mouth. He knew Su Wanjing definitely wouldn't treat Bailey Hongzhuang well. Being bullied every day was unavoidable. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang only feigned ignorance to survive? When that thought surfaced in his mind, Bailey Jintao was even more convinced there hadn't been a flaw in his reasoning. If it wasn't like that, what gifted genius would like to be ridiculed? That stupid woman. A burning rage rose up in Bailey Jintao's mind. If not for her foolishness, how could the current general's household have fallen like this? Sensing Bailey Jintao's furious gaze, Su Wanjing couldn't help it but stare blankly, her mind filled with fear. And because of the current situation, she couldn't even bring herself to ask. Bailey Hongzhuang's face had already turned extremely gloomy. How could that trash he always bullied turn out to be an even greater talent than him? Recalling Bailey Hongzhuang's haughty, disdainful face, he wanted to tear her body to shreds. Chapter 149. After 2 hours of searching, Bailey Hongzhuang finally locked down the Stormwolf's location. According to usual Stormwolf behaviors, besides here, there was nowhere else it would live. But when Bailey Hongzhuang neared the den, sound of a fight suddenly appeared in front of them, causing her to frown. It seemed that somebody had found the Stormwolf before she did. Since someone took the initiative to attack, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't need to hurry. She slowly walked ahead, happy to watch a good play. A man and a storm wolf coiled around each other. The man was somebody Bailey Hongzhuang was rather familiar with. Xianyuan Huan. Amongst the cultivators competing this year, apart from her, only Bailey Yuyin and Xianyuan Huan had reached the initial stage of Mysterious Ian. A person courageous enough to challenge the storm wolf could only be one of those two. A storm wolf's speed was like its name, just like a storm, exceptionally fierce. Even though it was Xianyuan Huan, as they fought, he slowly began to be suppressed. Xianyuan Huan continuously tangled with the wolf, his chi exploding as he brandished his sword. Traces of swords appeared and disappeared, moving with incomparable sharpness. His handsome face was serious, his eyes deep and earnest as he continuously tried to defeat the storm wolf. Looking at such a Xianyuan Huan, Bailey Hongzhuang's face couldn't help but change a little. Although nothing good could be said about his behavior, his strength wasn't bad. Before, she had only seen the unscrupulous side of him and actually never seen him so serious before. But even so, the disgust in her heart for Xianyuan Huan couldn't be changed. Although Xianyuan Huan's strength isn't bad, he still isn't the Storm Wolf's opponent. Little White focused on the fight in front of them, quickly determining which side was superior. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips hooked, her beautiful face bewitching and seductive. From beginning to end, Xianyuan Huan always lived in lukewarm waters. He can't use all of his strength. This was actually a deficiency most highborn cultivators faced. They possessed enough cultivation resources, and with pretty good talent, they could easily be very strong with some effort. However, they had never experienced a life-and-death fight. Cultivating high was one thing, but actual fighting strength was something else. Only after having experienced a fight between life and death would all their potential be stimulated. Only after narrowly avoiding a visit to the Yellow Springs would they understand their weak points and learn how to fix them. Yellow Springs. Chinese underworld and mythology, although it wouldn't appear early on in cultivation, as cultivators slowly grow and their insights of the world change, the gap would become very clear. In her previous life, though she grew up as the Lin family head, she was never allowed to be the least bit lazy. The reason why the Lin family had such a high status in the Shengxian continent was that their core was strong enough. All of the Lin family's younger generation were treated equally, leaving them when young in the mountain ranges to learn through experience. Each time, there were no small number of casualties, but the cultivators who emerged successfully from the mountains had all undergone earth-shattering changes. And that was just the beginning. From the day she was born, her life was never destined to be easy. But even so, she never felt that the suffering was too much to bear, because along with the suffering, she reaped a far bigger harvest. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Little Black and Little White nodded. Bailey Hongzhuang's sentence had stated it perfectly. Xin Yuanhuan slowly lost his strength. Although he could still fight calmly, it was impossible for him to beat it now. Chapter 1, 50 Clang. A sharp sound rang out in the air. Xin Yuanhuan carelessly fell down in front of the storm wolf, his sword flying from his hands. Xin Yuanhuan's face was full of panic. How could the storm wolf be so strong? Now that his weapon was gone, how could he face the storm wolf? Ah! Xin Yuanhuan released a blood-curdling shriek. The storm wolf had bitten his arm. A crisp ka sound echoed. Xin Yuanhuan's bones were snapped. Bailey Hongzhuang's face stayed indifferent. She and Xin Yuanhuan never had a good relationship, so of course she wouldn't go out to save him. But Xin Yuanhuan's luck was clearly good. Bailey Yuyin had suddenly appeared. Crown Prince. Seeing Xin Yuanhuan's arm bitten by the storm wolf, Bailey Yuyin couldn't help but cry out in alarm. When Xin Yuanhuan saw Bailey Yuyin appear, his pale face lit up with happiness. Bailey Yuyin, quickly save me. Bailey Yuyin repeatedly nodded her head. Don't worry, I will definitely come to save you. Although the situation was very dangerous, Bailey Yuyin's mood was actually very good. She never thought that today she would get a chance to save the Crown Prince. If she saved him, Bailey Yuyin was sure he would no longer be as disgusted with her. Bailey Yuyin quickly pulled out her sword before attacking the storm wolf, without the slightest bit of hesitation. When a storm wolf saw Bailey Yuyin attack, it no longer bothered with Xin Yuanhuan, turning to throw itself at her. Bailey Yuyin's heart was very tense. If even Xin Yuanhuan couldn't beat the storm wolf, she was even less of an opponent for it. Seeing the storm wolf's attention turn to Bailey Yuyin, Xin Yuanhuan sighed with relief. Although his arm was crippled, he still had his life. It looks like it'll be an interesting show. Bailey Hongzhuang sat on the treetop, her face indifferent as she watched the storm wolf fight hand-to-hand with Bailey Yuyin. Little black eyes flickered with excitement. Now that the storm wolf is attacking Bailey Yuyin, Master can save some effort. A woman like Bailey Yuyin shouldn't deserve to live in the world. If it wasn't for Xin Yuanhuan interfering earlier, Master would have already killed Bailey Yuyin. If the storm wolf killed Bailey Yuyin, they wouldn't need to personally dirty their hands. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile, her eyes bright, as if she was enjoying a good play. Since Bailey Yuyin likes to play beauty, saving the hero so much, naturally we'll let her show off. As Bailey Hongzhuang was speaking, Bailey Yuyin was forced to shrink back step by step. Although her strength was pretty good in the beginning, her chi was quickly used up as she faced the storm wolf. She had already lost control of her body. Screams constantly rang out in the air. In just that brief span of time, Bailey Yuyin's body was already riddled with scars and wounds, drenched in blood. Xin Yuanhuan immediately took out a pill and swallowed it. He never thought that the wolf would actually be so strong, and although he wanted to help Bailey Yuyin, His wounds were too heavy. He was already incapable of fighting. Crown Prince. Bailey Yin couldn't help but call out. There was no chance for her to deal with the Storm Wolf alone. Suddenly, while Bailey Yin was trying to escape from the Storm Wolf, she accidentally saw Bailey Hongzhuang sitting up on a tree not so far away. Her pitch-black pupils were filled with anger. While they were being beaten black and blue by the Storm Wolf, Bailey Hongzhuang was actually watching them calmly like a joke. They weren't that convenient. Chapter 151. Bailey Yuyin's eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Before, Bailey Hongzhuang only managed to escape by a fluke. Since Bailey Hongzhuang went and sought death, her troubles could very well be shifted onto her. She, Bailey Yuyin, wasn't nice enough to act out a show for her to watch. For this reason, she wanted Bailey Hongzhuang to pay with her life. Master, Bailey Yuyin found you. Little black-voiced. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled indifferently. Oh well, we can just use this as an opportunity to dispose of her. The reason why she dared to watch the show so arrogantly on the treetops was because she simply didn't care if Bailey Yuyin or Xianyuan Huan discovered her or not. Bailey Yuyin was completely silent. As she fought with the Storm Wolf, she slowly moved to the tree Bailey Hongzhuang was sitting on. Very quickly, Bailey Yuyin reached the spot under Bailey Hongzhuang's tree. But by then, her hibiscus embroidered robe was already dyed with blood. However, there was also a glint of excitement flickering in Bailey Yuyin's eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang, aren't you quite crazy? If you have the ability, then come down from the tree. Xianyuan Huan had just noticed that Bailey Hongzhuang was atop the tree, but he didn't know from when she had been up there. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. I am quite crazy, but still, why should I come down? Bailey Yuyin's eyes were filled with ridicule. All you know is to talk big when in fact, you're just trash with nothing good about you. When she heard the word trash, a trace of ruthlessness appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. Bailey Yuyin, this level of provocation is just too basic. Her beautiful, cold voice was filled with contempt as if she disdained Bailey Yuyin from the bottom of her heart. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang actually see through her thoughts, Bailey Yuyin's face turned somewhat ugly. But after a moment, Bailey Hongzhuang actually directly jumped down from the tree, her eyes looking straight at Bailey Yuyin. Haha, trash. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed madly, an arrogant expression appearing on her beautiful face. You keep on saying I'm trash, but you can't even defeat a Storm Wolf alone. You're the trash. Bailey Yuyin was startled. Meeting Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, a chill couldn't help but arise from the depths of her heart. Her pupils, black as ink, seemed to be able to pierce through her heart. That noble air that seemed to stem from her bones couldn't help but make Bailey Yuyin feel inferior. In that moment, Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have the aura of an emperor, a tyrannical aura erupting around her. A mere glance, and her mind could no longer build up the slightest shred of resistance. Why was this happening? Bailey Yuyin screamed in her mind. Why was she so scared after a single glance from Bailey Hongzhuang? Under such an aura, she felt an indescribable pressure. You said I was trash? Bailey Yuyin forced herself to argue back. Then if you have the ability, why don't you kill the wolf? A charming smile formed in Bailey Hongzhuang's lips. I will show you what true strength is. Bailey Yuyin looked at Bailey Hongzhuang shocked. This trash actually dared to fight the Storm Wolf? Xianyuan Huan was also astonished. Since Bailey Hongzhuang saw Bailey Yuyin fight the Storm Wolf, she definitely should have known how strong it was. How could she still dare to fight it? While the two were stunned, Bailey Hongzhuang had already walked up to face the Storm Wolf. The Storm Wolf's and the Hell Wolf King's strengths were roughly the same, but the Storm Wolf was faster whereas the Hell Wolf was stronger. Bailey Hongzhuang took out a sharp sword from her Heaven-Earth pouch. Fortunately, she had bought it before the hunting competition started in case of an emergency. Now it was finally time to use it. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.